music, interviews, poetry, and more with your favorite personalities. Be our guest on Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. for the most exciting moments on TV. Join Kojo Akoto Boateng for real entertainment right in your living room. Saturday Live on City TV and City 97.3 FM.
For regular news checks as they unfold, 2020 news all day, all the time. Politics, sports, entertainment, business, and more. 2020 news. We bring you the world in 20 minutes.
And that's all the news in 20 minutes.
Hi, good morning, and you're welcome to The Big Issue, live on 97.3 City FM, on City TV, around the globe, at citynewsroom.com. My name is Selom Adunu. This morning on the menu, a police officer is caught on tape battering an unarmed nursing mother. The question is, what will make a uniformed officer deploy his strength on such a vulnerable lady? The story is that the said lady went to the bank, or that is a Midland Savings and Loans branch or head office at Shiashi to withdraw some money. And we are told that the bank asked her to come the following day after she had tried several times to withdraw her cash. But no matter what it is, what will occasion such an action from an officer of the state? We will look at this matter this morning. Also, the police in Asawasi have come under pressure following the killing of some 7 young men in that part of the country. An independent investigation has been called into the matter. A high-powered delegation from government has also gone to the area to meet with the chiefs and imams and even the Asantehene to find a lasting solution to this matter. We will look at all these for you this morning as well. We will also, most importantly, deal with the matter of the mid-year budget review. The Honorable Ken Oforiatta, the finance minister, read the mid-year budget review this Thursday. And contrary to rumors that we heard that many taxes were going to be imposed on Ghanaians, Oforiatta said that VAT will not be increased. But the minority is livid because they feel gained. VAT in itself hasn't been increased, but there has been a recalibration of that tax. What does this mean? VAT VAT as we've known it is 17.5%. Now the minister has decoupled or separated the NHIL version or aspect of the VAT together with the Get Fund portion of it, the 2.5 and 2.5% each. Now VAT stands at 12.5%, and those two taxes have now become flat. What does this mean? And does this mean that the consumer will have to pay more for goods and services? We will discuss all these matters this morning. Also, a multi-track system has been suggested for Ghana's educational system, at least at the senior high school level. One of the concerns of people who speak about the free SHS is that of space and congestion. Educational consultant and retired education Professor Jofus Anama Mensah has suggested that Ghana introduces a multi-track system where 2 different streams of students will be admitted and they will attend school at 2 different periods just to maximize the use of space. Is this a good idea? Indeed, people like Professor Stephen Adair, amongst others, have supported this. We will look at the merits and demerits of this new suggestion and see if Ghana can learn anything from countries like China and South American countries, which we understand are already practicing this system. You can join the discussion with your views on WhatsApp on 0549 986 996. You can also comment on social media, and the hashtag is the big issue. This morning, my guest will be Dr. Okoboy, MP for Lejokuku, Nana Ofori Owusu, Director of Operations PPP and also financial analyst, Samson Asagi Awingobit, who is Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Franklin Kujo, President of Imani Africa, and Sidney Chrisley Hayford, a financial analyst and member of Occupy Ghana. I will return, do some updates, and then we'll delve into the discussions. Once again, you are welcome, and this is The Big Issue. You're welcome back to The Big Issue, your most preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program. This morning, we are looking at a number of issues I just took you through, but as a way of update, the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, has promised that government will not increase the value-added tax, VAT, contrary to earlier reports. Presenting a 2018 media budget review in Parliament on Thursday, the Finance Minister said the government would not increase the rate despite some economic challenges. Ahead of the reading, there were suggestions that there may be an increase in the tax and that of the NHIL. However, Mr. Ofori-Atta on Thursday said the government would maintain the current VAT rate.
We have programmed the under-listed measures to ensure that we meet our fiscal targets of 4.5% of GDP to end the year. Mr. Speaker, last year we abolished numerous taxes. The scale of tax reductions had never been implemented in the 60 years of Ghana's economic history since independence. The evidence shows that the economy has responded positively to these tax cuts. What is also clear to us, Mr. Speaker, is that we are not collecting as much as we should. The solution to this problem, however, is not necessarily the imposition of many taxes. We must first make sure that we do four things: ensure compliance with existing tax laws, plug the leakages in the existing system, ensure value for money for the expenditures that government undertakes, and ensure, Mr. Speaker, that the wealthy also pay their fair share. Beyond this, Mr. Speaker, any taxes should be to elicit socially desirable outcomes, such as a better environment in this regard. I would like to inform the House, Mr. Speaker, that there will be no increase in VAT.
So the Finance Minister also announced the government will separate the National Health Insurance Levy and the Get Fund component from the value-added tax. These two components will now have a flat charge of 2.5% each.
Converting the National Health Insurance of 2.5% to a straight levy of 2.5%. Mr. Speaker, we are converting the Get Fund value-added tax rate of 2.5% to a straight levy of 2.5%.
So, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta further announced the introduction of a new levy on vehicles with engine capacity of 3.0 litres and above. This imposition of the new levy will be known as a luxury vehicle tax. The levy, according to government, will be paid on first registration and subsequently annually during renewal.
Mr. Speaker, we are imposing a luxury vehicle tax with capacity of 3 liters and above. Mr. Speaker, we are reviewing personal income tax to include an additional band of 10,000 cedis and above per month at a rate of 35%. Mr. Speaker, we are intensifying the compliance measures to make sure we collect the taxes that are due us. Mr. Speaker, as part of efforts to improve revenue performance, we will intensify tax compliance.
Mr. Ofori-Atta also disclosed that government has reached an agreement with the Chinese company Sino Hydro Group Limited to finance $2 billion of the country's infrastructure in exchange for the nation's bauxites. According to him, the agreement includes financing the construction and completion of key roads, dredges, and interchanges in all the 10 regions of the country.
Infrastructure to be provided under this barter arrangement includes roads, bridges, interchanges, hospitals, housing, rural electrification, etc. The first phase, Mr. Speaker, of the project will focus on roads, bridges, and interchanges, and construction will begin subject to parliamentary approval starting September this year, Mr. Speaker. A lot of work has been done in preparation of these projects. The projects would include the following, Mr. Speaker. The first tranche, Mr. Speaker, shall be used. Mr. Speaker, through this financial arrangement, we will, Mr. Speaker, be able to pursue our infrastructure agenda through 2019 and 2020 without increasing our deficit.
So you had the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, there with some snippets of the media budget review as delivered on the floor of Parliament on Thursday. We will look at the budget holistically, or the review holistically, in the course of the discussion. Another matter we'll be considering this morning has to do with the free SHS and the multi-track system being proposed by some educationists. Now, a former Director General of the National Development Planning Commission, Dr. Nimoy Thompson, has urged the government to, among other things, consider a buyout of some private senior high schools to mitigate the current infrastructural challenges facing the free SHS program. Some educationists have called for the introduction of a multi-track system to help solve the space problem. But speaking on CCTV's Current Affairs show, The Point of View, Dr. Thompson advocated for the scrapping of the boarding school system to mitigate the problem.
The boarding school system was set up initially, and in fact when they started, the entire population of Ghana was like 3 million, which is the population of the central region now roughly. So it was small, and therefore it was meant to be representative. You have a few students from the colony, Accra, the Eastern, you have a few people from Western, a few people from Ashanti, a few people from the Northern Territories, and they converge and you do. So it wasn't meant to be comprehensive, just representative. Now we've gotten to a point where we want it all for everyone. And it's not sustainable. Now, government is, for instance, paying for kids to, paying for their food. Now, this is something that the kids would have anyway if they were living at home and going to school. So why is government taking on that responsibility? What they would not get from home if they were living there is tuition in biology or chemistry or math or English. That the government can do, and so you do that. But if you look at it empirically also, and through my interactions and whatnot, the schools even the top ones, the so-called well-endowed ones, are heavily burdened. The sanitation situation is a problem. Substantial parts of their budgets are spent just to empty septic tanks that were designed for a much smaller population. Now the population has exploded and there's no money. So virtually every school in Ghana has a Get Fund project that's been under construction for the past 10 years, if not more. So we need to back off from this emotional attachment or sentimental attachment to the boarding school system. And so, okay, it got to go.
So that was Dr. Nimoy Thompson, a past or the immediate past Director General of the National Development Planning Commission. Now to another matter. The police administration says it is investigating the assault of a nursing mother by one of its officers at a branch of the Midland Savings and Loans Company in Accra. In the video, the police officer, now identified as Frederick Amano Scala, had a gun strapped to his shoulder and is seen continuously punching the unidentified woman. Viewers are advised that the following video might be disturbing for some. Very sad incident there. Meanwhile, the Minister for the Interior, Ambrose Derry, has condemned the action of the police officer, describing it as horrifying. Mr. Derry, in an interview with the City Newsroom, said that the officer should be dismissed from the police service.
Me, I'm horrified by it. I've called the IGP and directed him to take immediate action on the matter and get back to me, because such behavior is unacceptable. A peace officer cannot handle a woman so ruthlessly, and I consider what I've seen on the video to be excessive force. So I've called the IGP who is in command, and I've asked him to get back to me immediately, and that action should be taken against the policeman. What I've seen, we would have to take disciplinary action against the police man. I don't see anything on the video that is sufficient provocation for him to react that way to an armed woman who has a baby. So this measure has been taken, and if nothing else extraordinary is found, he should be dismissed. He doesn't qualify to wear the uniform for such behavior.
So you heard there the Minister of the Interior, the Honorable Ambrose Derry. Now there is heavy security presence in Asawasi in the Ashanti region following clashes between youth of the area and the police. Hundreds of people from the Zongo community are protesting the killing of 7 men the police say were robbers. The killing has led to calls from several quarters, including the minority chief whip and member of parliament for the area, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, for a full-scale inquiry into the incident. Our Ashanti regional correspondent, Loretta Timmer, has more in this report.
The Inspector General of Police, the Minister for Information, the Minister for Zongo Development, and the Ashanti Regional Minister earlier today paid a courtesy call on the Asante Otumfuo Seitu II, who called for an independent investigation into the shooting of the 7. Subsequently, the Information and Zongo ministers headed to the Kumasi Central Mosque to meet with the agitating community members. But that meeting was cut short when the crowd spotted 2 police vehicles driving to the mosque. They started throwing stones at them, forcing the officers to turn away. Reinforcement was called, and an armored vehicle with a policeman shooting directly towards the people arrived at the scene. In the chaos, 2 men sustained gunshot wounds from stray bullets and were rushed to the Menshia Government Hospital for treatment. The IGP's entourage arrived later amidst a downpour, but the rampaging youth threw stones at the convoy, preventing them from entering the mosque premises. Salim Yusha, one of the leaders of the youth, spoke to City Newsroom.
You could see that he was clearly inconsistent. The report that he gave initially, he said in his statement, and I quote, they were hardened criminals. And then later, at the end of it, he said they are yet to substantiate and to identify which is which here. You could see that clearly the police chief, with all due respect to regard to you have moved. You are not being guided by your constitutionality. And I want to send you a message. I want to ask you, please, Mr. Chief, how come you didn't establish anything before you come in to tell us that they are indeed criminals? If you are here to establish their identity, how can you just call them criminals? And I'm asking you, if indeed they are criminals, as you said, please bring us a criminal report. I want to believe the police administration has a criminal records department. Please, we want to know. And it's on record that you said they've been going around shooting people. I can tell you a record. The ammunition that you came and placed there, you went it and collected it from your army. We have that information from us. You went and displayed it because we are human. Let's use our intellect. Now the ammunition that you came and put over there, they are highly sophisticated weapons. I have never seen a gun. I have never touched a gun. But on the high side, if you are saying that they've exchanged shootouts with your people, how come they couldn't cause damage to your vehicle? How come they couldn't endanger any of your men? What are you telling us? You've taken Ghanaians for that. There is not any there is not any blood in their car. You've killed them recklessly without due regard to the law and order of this country.
Military has since been dispatched to the area to ensure sanity.
Interesting happenings in Asawasi and its environs, and we have all these issues on the table for you, and we will do justice to them in the course of our discussion. Let me once again introduce my guests, then we will begin the discussion. Dr. Okoboy, MP for Lejo Kuku; Nana Ofori Owusu, Director of Operations, PPP and a financial analyst; Franklin Kujo, President of Imani Africa; Sydney Kisley Hayford, member of Occupy Ghana and a financial consultant; Samson Asaki Awingobit, the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association. We will take a quick break, return, and then delve into the discussion. This is the big issue. Your comments are welcome. You can join us on WhatsApp on 0549 986 996. 0549 986 996, and on social media, just ensure that all your comments have the hashtag the big issue, and then so that we can read them out to the rest of the world. We are also live around the globe at citynewsroom.com and on Facebook Live. And on Facebook Live, just drop your comments, the stream of comments you see there, and then we'll read them to the rest of the world. We'll be back shortly for the discussion.
For regular news checks as they unfold, 2020 news, all day, all the time. Politics, sports, entertainment, business, and more. 2020 news. We bring you the world in 20 minutes.
And that's all the news in 20 minutes.
Live music, interviews, poetry, and more with your favorite personalities. Be our guest on From 2 to 4 p.m. for the most exciting moments on TV. Join Kojo Akoto Boateng for real entertainment right in your living room. Saturday Live on City TV and City 97.3 FM.
Wherever the weekend sporting action happens, we will bring it to you here on Scorecard. Every goal, every dunk, every punch, the winning strides, and the winning volleys.
Come international media, he said, look, wait, sit and wait. Let me have a meal with my people. And I think that's the same cool, it's the same organization he brings to the field every time I've seen him play. He looks to me like somebody who's played over 50 caps already. Okay. But this guy has barely played over 25 caps for the national team.
All of the weekend's action in one place. Scorecard, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. prompt on City TV.
Spend 30 minutes every weekday catching up with all the trending social media conversations of the day. If you tweet it, we'll read it. We might just even Skype you.
Just, no matter your situation, you can rise to the top.
Absolutely.
You really
and
can.
It's interesting that he wrote this article on the 17th of June, and on the 18th of June, yesterday, he actually scored 2 goals in the Belgium World Cup meet.
30 minutes is all it takes, so use the hashtag 30minutes on social media to catch our attention. Join the most interactive social media TV show weekdays at 5 p.m. only on City TV.
You're welcome back. This is The Big Issue, your most preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis show on 97.3 City FM and on City TV. We're also on Facebook Live, and around the globe we are at citynewsroom.com. We want to begin the discussion. Dr. Okoboy, MP for Lejokuku, Samson Asagi Awingobit, Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Franklin Kujo, Sydney Keslehe, for the now Fori, Owusu, Director of Operations at PPP and a financial analyst, are my guests this morning. Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Yeah, good morning, my brother.
We want to start from on a very social note. I mean, very sad one indeed as well. Yesterday, we saw that video of the lady, the nursing mother in that banking hall, who went to the hall, obviously, to withdraw some cash. The police officer in question, had to batter the woman, for the want of a better word. And the video went viral. And indeed, by evening time, that became the #1 issue on most news channels. This morning, the discussion is still on. We want to start off our discussion this morning from that point. Mr. Wingobit, did you see the video, and what were your first impressions after seeing the video?
Well, thank you very much, my brother, for having me. First and foremost, let me comment Mr. Sames and his team for doing quite a good job. I'm sure Sames should be the kind of people that we need in our public sector. Look at this, used to be your car, Spark. You converted it into a modern space, and you are doing it extremely good. So I commend them for the good work that they are doing. I have always, when I have the privilege to appear on the platform like this, I have 3 things that I do campaign. I live in Ashama. I'm an Ashama boy. I grew in Ashama, okay. And then I stay where I built my house is within Ashama. We call it Ashama, New York, but it's under Katamanso District Assembly. Our road, I was on Joy FM, our road is very porous. You get to Ashama Town, the roads are very porous. And I don't know I drive in Tema, because my office is in Tema. And every community in Tema, we drive on asphalt. And I ask myself that we, the people of Ashama, previous government and the current government, can they look onto us and do something. But I've seen that when I started the campaign at UTV, I came to Joy FM, I saw that my road from New York to 22 stretch, they have come to grade it. So kudos to the DC, but we don't want grade it. We want that road to construct because there's so much better on the Ashama Lebanon Road early in the morning if you are leaving for meetings. So please, you have done good, Solomon, Honorable Solomon of KKDE, but we need that road to be given proper facelift. Indeed, Honorable Albert Ochre in Ashama, please, if you are listening to us, I'm saying that the Ashama internal road, please do something about it. I'm coming from Upper East region. I'm sure you know that the president was in the Upper East region for the past 2 days. Our road from Bolga to Boku, I'm coming from Boku. I'm from the Boku traditional area. We have 6 MPs. In the Upper East region, the MPP had 3 MPs. 2 of the MPs is coming from our side. The West now is that the Zebula constituency MP for a big wing person, that is Honorable Clotis Avoka, former majority leader. I'm sure you know him. And our road, I'm told that the construct is a standstill now. When the finance minister was in parliament and was delivering and talk about the Sino phone, the China company that will be bringing money, the roads that he made mention, he didn't mention our road. Our road is not part. And I'm told that the contractors said they haven't paid them. And contractors are packing out of the region. When the president went to Upper East, they did not take the president to Boku Traditional area. We have 6 constituencies, 5 districts. I'm so sad that the Upper East, and our MP, it happened to be the deputy minister. That you sit in such a meeting, and the deputy attorney general meeting is also coming from our area, Honorable Kwenka. And our road is so poor. I don't know if you have been to Boku. So please, government and the road minister, please do something about this Boku-Bolga road.
I thought that Boku-Bolga road, I've used that road before. Very dangerous road as well, because normally we hear criminals will hide in corners and attack.
You don't know how
but
goes
I
this
thought
road.
Work has begun on it.
Work has begun. See, John Mama time, it's part of the Eastern Corridor. Eastern Corridor. We are President went to Volta region. He went and visited those Panda and other areas road as part of Eastern Corridor. Upper East, when he went to Upper East, the largest population in Upper East is from the Kosaku tradition. And they don't go to Boku to see what our road is. I'm so sad. Very, very sad this morning.
So please, so you are on a double barrel, Ashama and Boku.
Yes, Ashama and Boku. Even the Ashama we can manage. But look at the stretch from Bolga to Boku.
Yes, I've used that road before, and it's very dangerous.
So I'm so sad as a son of that place.
Yeah, but work has begun on it. Just that it's slow, right?
Contractors is a standstill. They're not working. Contractors, if you open the lines, you will see the people who call from home. And the last I told, we should not play politics on this road. The road must fix. Hashtag Boku Bolga road must fix. And I'm starting the president went to visit as part of the Upper East region. And you have 6 constituencies coming from one side. You could not visit there. I don't know whoever planned for the president visitation in the Upper East region. I could not go to Boku.
Very well. So if you are in Boku and its environs, you can join the discussion by sending us your WhatsApp message on 0549 986 996. The number will be displayed on the screen for those of you watching on TV. So you can contribute to that aspect of things as well.
So back to the police issue.
So let's go back to the substantive issue.
Last night, I happened to be on the home-based TV yesterday. And I saw before, on my way to the program, I saw the video. I didn't understand. So later, I played it. Immediately, I downloaded the video and I played it. Seconds, I have to cut my phone. I can't believe it. I didn't know what was it. I assume it's my wife. I assume it was my sister. I assume it was my nephew. I assume it was my relative. That someone, a man is doing that. Not even a policeman fighting a man, a civilian man, but a woman with a baby. I don't even know how old is the baby.
The baby is 2 months, 3 weeks old.
Yes. But the point is, I hear people within the banking floor say, go call the branch. Even this morning, I saw another video. The woman has to sit down. I don't know, I think you have not seen that.
Yeah, I've seen that one as well.
The woman sat down and told like, Minister, he doesn't have money. Can't a good Samaritan within the banking sector? Because if you say you have closed, and know that the woman is nursing, if she's hungry, how will the baby? How can she nurse the baby?
The story we've actually heard is that the woman was in the bank, in the banking hall the day before, and she's been there since morning or so. And that, I mean, the excuse about
system failure,
closed and all that, I mean, I'm not sure was a very good one. But of course, we are yet to hear from the bank. The bank has only issued a statement condemning the incident. We are yet to really hear from them on the substantive matter.
You know, the bank owner, I won't say owner, but I know that is part of the owners, Willie. the Liberty Capital. He's a very good friend.
Yeah,
this is supposed to become the Midland. Yes, I know.
Midlands, okay.
Yes, I know. So I know that they will do a good job. Indeed, the police will also, of course, the bank has CCTV cameras. They should also ask for it. But the point is that I'm saying, if the person walk in with a baby at that level, in my own time, somebody will feel sympathy and say, okay, what do you call for today, so that then you can come back for your money. I think the woman would have been, she wouldn't have behaved, and then the policeman, the way the policeman was brutalized, at least someone should have a sense to say that of whom to say, okay, with a child, with a young person. I overheard a man asking, how much cry is can? They say, oh, 250 cry, 250 is money. Go and steal one city, and you will see what they will do to you. People is being jailed because of one city. People are being jailed because of banchi. People are being jailed because of one tuber of yam. So it is her sweat. And indeed, the worst scenario is that Ghanaians, bankers are campaigning that let's cultivate the habit of savings. And honorable member is here. And Ghanaians, gone at this. Ghanaians want to keep their money in their bedroom. Now there are robbers everywhere. So if such a woman brings her money to you and come back, is that the best customer service that you should render to her?
Very well. I'll come back to you. Honorable Dr. Okoboy, did you watch the video?
Yeah, I watched assets. You know, as a general rule, I usually don't watch videos on WhatsApp unless you've told me like what the video is about. Because anything I watch with my eyes is processed by the mind and unconsciously played back.
Is the data?
Yes, and it has a way of affecting you subconsciously for a long time. So with my background, I normally, unless I have an idea.
But the data too.
No, data is not a problem. Data has never been a problem. It's the content. You know, don't mind FC.
so I mean, those of you watching on TV, that is the video you're seeing.
Yeah, I happened to watch some excerpts, and I was boiling, you know. I was getting angry.
It was disgusting.
You know, just before we go to that, my brother justifiably talked about bad roads.
I
know. Just I want him to know that because he lives or lived in Ashaman, Council of Boku, the two places where I'm sure he operates mostly, the roads are bad and he's not happy. But just for him to know that at my place the roads are very bad also.
But you stood up.
Please calm down.
Road was mentioned in Parliament. You stood up. I saw you. I know. Sitting at the public, so I saw you.
You see, if you have the patience, you get where I'm driving.
Okay.
I was in Domi Kwamenya to do a program, and immediately they saw me. They're like, you people, see how bad our roads are. You guys should do something. Everywhere you go, like the president said, Eastern Corridor, the one that we were told that the road was so fantastic, the roads are bad. So the question is that if previous government said they did so much of infrastructure work, and yet everywhere you go, everybody has issue with basic infrastructure. It means either what was done was artificial or it was so poor it's vanished within months. Are you getting the point I'm making? Yeah. But I'm not even interested in those ones. The point is that we have a huge job to do, and we are committed to making sure that. That's why you said you hate my roads. We are committed to make sure that major roads are attended to. You understand? But I just wanted to remind that it's not only the two places, but at many places the roads are bad. And we don't want to go into roads now, but we have to do two things at the same time. We have to find money to do continual projects and also to pay outstanding debts. But people will say you always inherit both. But the bottom line is that we have a huge problem with infrastructure and we are committed to improving upon it. And you know, I came in a yellow shirt. My brother, you've never been interested in asking me what this is. FC. This is Zonta. You've heard about Zonta Club?
I've heard about Zonta.
It's a group of women or females who do advocacy for ladies, as in girls and women. And I had a medical outreach with them. They supported with drugs. They were there themselves. And I know they do nice programs elsewhere. So if you Google Zonta, if you are a career woman or you are in the informal sector, try and join. They do very noble things, you know. So that's Zonta for you.
We'll send you a bill.
Yeah. Yes. And, you know, with the police, you see, I'm always interested not in the event, but what led to such events. Any unfortunate happening is an opportunity to correct things in your system. And that is what we must always remember. Anything you get angry about, It's an opportunity to fix a few issues you have in your society. So the first one I'm looking at is social cover. What is a social cover in this country like? If you have a single mother who is struggling, where does she go? Are you going to say? This is a lady who couldn't afford milk or even food for the baby.
But we don't know for now whether she's a single mother or not.
Good. But even if she has a partner, what the baby will eat is a problem. You think if the husband or the partner at home can get money for her to...
But you see, she was not going to beg. She was going to take her own money.
You see, the issue is that I know. You see, if you go to the bank, you've been struggling to take 270 over days. It's not coming. And you get to the point where you say, I'm not going anywhere. And she mentioned that, I'm not saying all she said is true, but assuming they are true, she told you that if I go, there's nothing even for my child to feed. Now, so the point is that if she had some small backup at home, she could have said, okay, let me go and feed on that one and come tomorrow and come and face these guys.
But that is a sidestepping the issue. I mean, I don't know, but go ahead.
Okay,
but you know that some of the banks doesn't work Saturdays.
Yeah.
Yesterday happened to be Friday.
No, but we heard this didn't happen yesterday. It happened the day before.
The bottom line is that when you have a woman with a child of that age, being ready to fight to the end, even at the peril of her life, for 270 Ghana cedis, it tells you of the social pressures. You understand? So the question I'm asking is that if you have people who belong to this group, where do they go to? Are you going? That's the first point. The second point is that if you have a financial institution that is struggling, I was listening to some other media like house, and someone said that he wrote a check of 1,000 Ghana to a savings microfinance institution. It's been 2 weeks now; they've not been able to honor. Assuming you are trying to get your money from a financial institution that is struggling, FC, who do you go to? So that instead of you taking them on aggressively, or maybe you don't have money to go to the courts or to engage a lawyer, like as a state, where can you easily? I'm talking about an avenue that has been advertised and people know. So quickly, we must look at this because it's possible there are 5,000 people out there who have been struggling to get 100 Ghana cedis from a financial institution. So those are some of the things I'm interested. Thirdly, I've seen or heard a lot of people who are willing now to give 100 Ghana, 200 to support the woman. There are many women in that category. So the question is that the Ministry of Gender, I'm sure they have some programs. To what extent have we advertised those particular programs and avenues, so that if you find yourself in such a situation, you can go to them for help? I think when it comes to some of these things, NGOs, there are many NGOs who also do empower women, as in give them skill and all that, so that they can escape this poverty. How do you call it? Close. Now, we should encourage people. You know, I always say that the state cannot do it alone. Usually, it's a combination of state activities with the goodwill of citizens. If people are now rushing to give money, which institution or enterprise have we created for which people can go in there, contribute to support such people, and they will have the trust and the confidence that their money is going to be used for the right thing? This is the opportunity. With the police, first it has to do with the training. People have raised issues with even the quality that are absorbed. If the quality is compromised as a result of certain factors, including some point fingers at us, I want to say it before people start, FC will start going there. People say the quality that we absorb. My brother, if the quality is questionable, what you can do is to have a very strong monitoring and supervision system. The police out there doing their work, is there any tool to have an idea of their conduct? Look, myself, I'm a victim. I was at a ceremony last year in Accra. Man, I met a policeman, the commander of a group, protecting an area with the president there. His behavior was so crude. And people had to come and tell me. And I'm like, what is your name? Even his name was not there. Trying to get his number, no. And I said, look, you are heading the whole battalion, if I'll put it. And look at the behavior. He just saw me from a distance and said, move your car away. And I even wanted an opportunity to just talk to him. Where do I go? He said, just go out. And I asked him, is that the way to conduct yourself? He said, if I were to be on the highway. And I said, use words. Don't use your hand. He said, if I were to be on the highway, would I come close to him for him to use words? So such people act with that impunity because they go around without their name tags and their numbers. And it's business as usual. So these are the opportunities we must try to address. No policeman or soldier No officer, how do you call it, security officer, should step out in public without his number and name on his chest. Immediately that is identified, they must be sanctioned. You know what I mean? These are the things we must look at, because people encounter officers. They are fine officers, I always say. Very fine officers. But there are some who are so rude, and their behavior is such, and they do that because they know the monitoring system is poor. Look, any job you do, if monitoring is poor, you do what you like. If there's nobody who is watching, and who watches the watchman, once you don't have such a mechanism, people do funny things. So, my brother, it's sad. Me, I have only sisters. So, assuming this had happened to any of my sisters, and I happen to be at the place, man, if nobody controls me, this guy would have been in trouble. And you see, what is even sad is that when you meet a man who is so aggressive, beating a woman, such people are very weak physically. If it had been a man, I don't think this policeman would have used his fist. He would have tried to use the gun to threaten you. But look at the blows. He was even falling around.
Yeah, the graphics.
He was waiting to fall down.
But to conclude, I think I'm one of the strong critics of the police when it comes to their encounter with the public. I have said that when you have such events, have a press briefing. Brief the public that such a person, these were the things that led to his behavior. These are the steps you've taken. Usually all they do is you have a press statement, one, and then they go to sleep. But you see, even giving the opportunity to the public to ask questions and addressing them, and through that saying sorry and all that, it gives it's able to soothe comfort. Exactly. And sometimes all you need is that approach for people to know that when you err, you are willing to show remorse. And I think the police should take the opportunity to do more of public engagements.
For me, yesterday,
speaking about the police,
yesterday I said,
before that, speaking about the police, they issued a statement yesterday after the video went viral. And just to quote one or two paragraphs from that, they said that the administration has already commenced investigation into the conduct. In addition, the Inspector General of Police has directed the officers' immediate arrest for criminal processes to begin. Further, the administration condemns the behavior of the officer as being contrary to the professionalism and the tenets of the ongoing police transformation program. It also goes on to say, following this conduct, the police administration has issued a stern warning to all police officers, reminding them to desist from any such human rights abuses and misconducts. It concludes by saying that the police administration assures the public that the outcome of the investigation into the officer's conduct shall be published. And that was signed by Sheila Kesi Abaye Bachman, who is the Deputy Superintendent of Police and Director Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service. A number of other bodies to have issued statements in respect of this. The Ministry for Gender, Women and Children, Gender, Children and Social Protection has also issued a statement condemning the incident or the assault on the woman. Just a paragraph of it says that the ministry cannot fathom what crime the nursing mother could have committed to warrant the violent and vicious attack by this officer of the law. Most disturbing, however, was the attitude of the persons who were in the banquet hall and made no attempt whatsoever either to restrain the policeman, they use the word the deranged policeman, or to protect the hapless woman. It goes ahead to say that the ministry is concerned about the rising incidence of violence affecting vulnerable members of the Ghanaian society, like women, girls, children, the poor, and the disabled. Once again, the ministry is exhorting all leaders of society to support the ministry to inculcate the virtues of love and care for the weakest and most vulnerable in our society. The ministry is aware of the swift action taken by the Ministry of the Interior to bring this erring officer to book. It is our expectation that the behavior will be dealt with in consonance with the laws of Ghana and the sanctions announced publicly to serve as a deterrent to other rogue officers. And this was signed by Otiko Afisa Jaba, who is the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection. Other statements have come in, one from the GBA. I will read portions of later in the discussion. So this savings and loans company, so Frank, I'm coming to you now. I mean, people have said that the workers of that bank or that savings and loan company in the video did not appear interested in stopping the police officer, from assaulting or beating or battering this woman? Did you have that sense?
Before Franklin comes in, so, yesterday I called that the staff of the bank, at that bank, the management should fire them. And the police should not arrest only the police officer alone, because someone has instructed the policeman to do what he did. They should also arrest such a person as well. And I'm sure it should be either the supervisor, either the retailers, or the operations manager of the bank. They should arrest them.
But you mean somebody instructed the police to beat up the woman? Of course,
someone would even call a security man into the bank hall
to beat up the woman.
Take this person out. So,
but anyway, to take the woman out or to get the woman out doesn't mean beat the woman.
Yes, so they all committed the same crime.
Really? Yes. All right. So let me come to Franklin then. The conduct of the people in the video.
First of all, this is a mortifying, if I like, example of police brutality. The bank, by the way, I've been seeing their adverts closely placed and visibly placed at my junction where I branch off to my house. Incidentally, that's where the 6 carriage or the interchange is going to be, the Pokwasi place. And I think their adverts suggest that they've been in operations for 20 years. We need to find out what may have made this woman desperately at the point of desperation, trying to take out her money. If in fact it's been said that she had been there earlier, could it be because of panic?
Well, we also had some liquidity challenges
because there are a number of financial institutions that have financial challenges these days. Sometimes the way we deal with information around some of these things could actually make people panic. But that notwithstanding, it is her money. I suspect she wasn't a beggar.
No.
She went in there to take her money. I mean, there have been times when some of us who were relatively well known are late to the bank, assuming that was the issue, that she was really late to the bank. We are late to the bank and then we are allowed access, we do whatever we want. Now, for a woman that was obviously carrying a child, there must be some extenuating circumstances that could lead her to really demand her money. And that's what she did. She didn't carry she didn't carry a cane into the banking hall. And of course, to the extent that she was allowed into the banking hall, meant that she was there in good, more or less good custody. Now that the bank has said, well, we are trying to investigate the matter, it shouldn't actually end there. I'm likely to talk to a few lawyers to sue the bank, so that the bank will pay hefty damages, because this happened right under their nose, and probably sue them out of existence. You know, it is worrying that if somebody demands his or her due, and the least you could do is to say, well, get out of the place, because I don't think I owe you, or probably come some other time. I don't think the best thing to do is to ask the police or any security guard to walk the woman out. I mean, the police officer was acting on instructions, as Samson has said. Otherwise, clearly, he wasn't there when the lady went asking for her money. So probably because the banking officials were angry, that's when they then decided to invite the police. And the police, with careless abandon, decided to yield to such a request. I don't think when the police administration asked some of us to meet with them a couple of months ago to share their strategic vision with us, so that we'll all go out there and advocate for more resources for them. You recall we did all of that. More guns, more resources, more police personnel, because clearly, and then better accommodation, because truth be told, the life of a policeman in this country, unfortunately, isn't worthy, is not motivated enough. But that notwithstanding, I don't think the police transformational agenda was aimed at, keeping these delinquents, and in the right words Otiko used, deranged police persons. I can bet my last peso that this policeman must have been on some protocol list, probably a foot soldier who managed to get into the police service. That's not to say that professionally trained policemen may not occasionally misbehave. But it saddens me, really, to think that in this day and age, a policeman, and look at the way he wielded his weapon. And that was the last act he was going to release on the lady, using the button of a gun to hit her. Well, a lot has been said. The fact of the matter is that now the police must rid itself of this criminally minded element. And if you thought that this was not enough, and you heard about the gunning down of 7, I still believe those people were not armed robbers in Kumasi, right? It tells you that there must be something to be done fast and urgent by the police service, beyond issuing stern warnings.
Look at
Maybe
it.
There's a need to have a refresher course for the police service as we speak right now, before they ever go up, think about recruiting extra ones, because existing ones themselves are problematic. You know, sometimes you meet some policemen, and I'm sorry, but basic communication skills, they don't even have it. You know, and I shudder how elements like that could be part of the police service. So this is really worrying. And as much as many people have spoken about it, I think my last comment I'd like to make on this is that the bank, someone should sue the bank, and I'll probably talk to some lawyers to do that, so that the lady is properly, compensated. This is beyond asking for charity for her.
So we initially asked what might have pushed the lady to so desperately want the money. My information is that she had been borrowing or taking, they call it nan, or this milk that babies use from
Nan one.
Yeah, Nan one and those things from a shop or a store, and that had accumulated. And they said if she didn't come to pay, they were not going to give her extra. You know, so that was
an issue of survival. Whatever the issue really was, whether it was an issue of feeding the baby or what not, the fact of the matter is that did she have legitimate money with the bank? She had it, and to the extent that she could take her money, you cannot deny her. And I thought that the actions of, and which branch was this again?
Where the Shiashi place.
I think that's the midline head office. I think that's the head office branch. But I'm sure that the bank would definitely take action. And I'm sure that, because I know William very well and Raphael, and I'm sure that they will definitely they will have to compensate the woman, because it's
the bank issues a statement yesterday and says that they've reported the incident to the police
as well. Yes.
But what we don't know is when the report was made, whether the report was made after the public outcry or after the video went viral. It would be interesting to know when exactly that report was made. The question is, if the video hadn't gone viral, would they have taken the same step? Yesterday, when we spoke to them or we called them up for an interview, they were on their way to the CID headquarters, we understand. So I'm sure that given the nature of this and how the public has been angered by the incident, I mean, the police will be minded to do a good job in respect of this. So speaking about the police, and we'll move on to the next leg of the discussion, the happenings in Asawasi over the week, 7 young people were gunned down and were killed because the police said that they exchanged fire with them, and so they were robbers. The town people have come out to say they are not robbers. They were not robbers. They were people they knew in the town. They are their brothers, fathers, and children, if you like. And so, I mean, but the whole Asawasi area has been set agog. The high-powered government delegation has gone there to meet the imams. Even Asante Hine has been involved in this meeting as well. You know, so it brings back to focus, I mean, the professionalism of our police, what instructions they act on, amongst other things. Maybe I'll begin with you again, Samson. I won't go bit. You know, have you been following happenings in Asawasi?
Yes, you know, because of the job some of us we do, we always have to scan through the media houses and the media portals to know what is happening. Let me first and foremost say a big condolence to the bereaved family in Asawasi. I mean, Pepe man, they call us Pepe people, but not it happened deeply within where the Zongo community is, and that triggered the anger of my brothers and sisters in the Asawasi. I can only appeal to them that now that the government has taken it serious, not just a mere person, the overlord himself, the Sasura himself has added his voice, even not asking for only the police administration to do an investigation, but rather asking, I'm told he's calling, Asantehene is calling for an independent, am I right, if I heard you right saying so, an independent body.
Almost everybody's been calling for that.
Yes, and I think that should be the appropriate, they should be able to appoint eminent people to do a thorough job for, and then bring justice to the people of Ghana, and of course to the bereaved family. Indeed, some of them, by now, they have wives, they have children. What will be the future of these children? What will be the future of these women? Not just, I'm sure you heard not that I'm reminding the family of Major Mahama, but when it happened, there was at Apple, and there was a good sums of foundation set up to take care of the child and stuff like that. What would, at the end of the day, what would be there? Even though if the government and the people even allocated some amount to take care of the children and the wife, but we have lost life. So the police administration can only, but we need not to run the police administration down, because we still need them. Without them, security, all of us will be living in fears. But just that, at what point in time would a police officer try to trigger his gun and shoot? Because that is also another important area. What were the acts at the time that they opened fire on this gentleman? Were they, because if you listen to their leader, Yusuf, right? He says that the police vehicle that came there, the people didn't cause any damage. The weapons that they brought it, they went to their armory room and brought it, and they have picked intelligence on all those things. And indeed, I think I've also seen one of the guys' pictures with one prominent person in government. That is like during campaign time, these were the guys who were with them. So I strongly believe that what has happened, in as much that we would not want to run down the whole police administration, we will have to critique them in a constructively, and then also ask the IGP to be up and doing. Indeed, to bring peace into the Asante region, I'm sure it will be appropriate for the police administration to transfer the regional commander, because already they are calling for the regional commander transfer. I think that would be the first step to bring peace. They said he should go, let him go, put someone who be able. I think ACP Kofi Boache is COP. It's not COP, right?
Yes. COP, yes.
We're in the Asante region, and he was able to control. He was there for more than even 6 or 5 years, and there was peace. Why suddenly? So I think that not that there were no gunned down, but they were gunned down with, you will see talismans and others. I think I've seen some of them during his time. You see Taliban, you see that this person is a danger. He was ready to danger the policeman. So in defense, they have to also defend themselves. All they need to defend. But with what we saw, I think it's a barbaric, it's something that we need not to encourage, and the police should be trained and should be told at what point that if your life is in danger before you can defend. I think this was defenseless that they did, just like what happened to the woman in the bank yesterday. And I'm so sad that I've lost brothers in the Asante region.
All right, very well. The government has also issued a statement in respect of this matter. So let me quickly look at that. That is the Asawasi matter. So press release signed by Curtis Perry.
But you're reading all these press releases.
Is that? Say it again.
But the press releases are the same.
Which one? No, I mean, this is in respect of the Asawasi matter.
But the content is the same.
So, I mean, it says that in response to the armed robbery attack in Manson Kwanta in the Ashanti region, in which 2 policemen were shot, police operations resulted in the shooting and death of 7 young men from Asawasi at Manson Kwanta. This has subsequently led to the acts of violence by some youth of the Asawasi Zongo. Government expresses its condolences to the bereaved families of the 7 young men and the 2 policemen. Government yesterday sent a delegation led by the Minister for Inner City and Zongo Development, the Honorable Abubakar Sadiq Boniface, including the Minister for Information, Dr. Mustafa Hamid, the Inspector General of Police, David Asante Apietu, and the Ashanti Regional Minister, Honorable Samson Osei Mensah, and the Municipal Chief Executive for Asokore Mampon, Honorable Alidu Seidu, to the Zongo community, where they met with the youth, imams, and Zongo chiefs. The delegation consoled the bereaved families and assured them of government's commitment to establish the truth of the incident. Since the police and the families of the 7 young men have different versions of the occurrence, government has decided to set up an independent committee to investigate the matter. Once again, government calls on members of the Zongo community to exercise restraint while the matter is being investigated. This statement has been signed by Deputy Minister for Information, Perry Curtis Oku-Jeto. So that's what government has said. Dr. Koboy, you are in government. I don't know how this incident comes to you. And this is not the first time the police have gunned down people. Indeed, in the last 8 months, 19 of such incidents have been reported where the police have shot and killed persons, because they feel the persons have been armed robbers. An incident happened around Agboba. The guy was just returning from a pub, you understand, and the police shot him because they said they thought he was an armed robber. And many of these incidents have happened in the last 8 months, about 19 of them. This certainly is not the police service we expect. They are supposed to be protecting us and not to be killing us.
Yeah, that's very true. We have a police service that obviously is not perfect. They've been working systematically to try to be very efficient. And I think a little background to this particular issue. I think the police not too long ago had lost one of their men.
Yes.
To armed robbers.
The Mason Kwanta area.
Exactly. And so going into this operation, I'm sure they were not too ready to take some significant risk. But you see, first of all, like you read, government is not saying one particular group is guilty and the other is innocent. We don't know the facts. The police are telling us a story, or they are telling us their side of the story. And the people in the community also believe strongly that they are not armed robbers. And I think the first commendable thing government has done is to make sure that the body that will go in is independent, sort of not coming from any of the two. Usually the practice is that the police usually goes into such matters themselves. And you cannot be a judge and a plaintiff at the same time or defendant. So I think that is a very good step. But let me just share a small story with you. One weekend, I went around some of the communities, hamlets that I campaign. Usually, I take a time, go and visit people. And I saw this young lady who told me that the brother is not too well, and that he had some jaw injury. So he wants me to support her, like to pay. I said, what kind of jaw injury? So almost the whole jaw came off. And he's he was in a particular hospital. I don't want to give specifics. So immediately, and also because of my rounds in the community, I'd heard from another part of the community where there's an estate that there was a robbery. And luckily, the occupant had a pump action and fired. And the person ran to the hospital and claimed that he had been involved in an accident. But it was at another hospital that they saw the pellets and realized that it was, and they reported to the police. So this lady, it was his brother who was involved in the robbery.
Oh.
And he's been being managed and being taken to the court. And he wanted me to pay for the medical bills. So I asked her, what was he doing? He was like, oh, some guys came to tell him to go and rob. I said, you want me? I could have been a victim. And this gentleman does not stay far away from the estates that the robbery took place. The point I'm making is that, apparently, even they come into the estates to look for jobs. Like, can we work on your lawns? Is there any job for us? So, we should be careful. It's not all the time that an armed robber is a stranger or somebody coming from a very far place. Sometimes, sometimes there are people in the community. And the last time there was a robbery at one of the mining communities, you heard a guy is a gospel singer. You heard recently, there was a robbery at, is it Takwa or one of the mining towns, where they killed a police officer. The gentleman has his face on posters in the town. He's a lead gospel singer. He's not a stranger. So, in as much as I'm not saying that these people were robbers, to say we know them and they were one of us is not enough. I get the point. Yes. And with the police also, I think sometimes there are a few occasions, and when they go into the investigation, maybe to come out, where the police opens fire justifiably to protect their life. That's when you have robbers themselves opening fire first.
Exactly. That's what self-defense.
Exactly. And also, there's another angle. When the profile of the robber
is high,
it's such that it's a very dangerous person. You don't wait to be like hurt before the policeman who was shot on the bike in Tema. Is that Shama Tema? When he was going on patrol, he was on a motorbike. People drove on another bike, shot him.
Route.
You know what? Within hours, the police went straight to a particular known robber.
And fired him.
And when they went there, the ammunition he had, they were more complex than that of the Ghana police. And guess what? They were armed to the teeth because they knew his profile. And they took him, like they killed him.
So what's the point? So the police knew.
So I've given you stories on both sides. That there are occasions where it is possible that it is the profile or the attack that came from the robbers that led to a counterfire. There are occasions also where the robbers are community members. And we've had instances where the police have unjustifiably killed an innocent person. Since all these are possibilities, what do? You have to go into the matter. So I'll just urge people to become, at least the comfort we have is that the body that will do it will be independent. And they are going to give us the facts as to what really happened. If it comes out that the police were not professional or were trigger happy, what do? I think we have to apply the sanctions and the state must find a way of compensating the victims. If it also turns out that these are people who were actually, would I say robbers or miscreants or whatever, the facts will show or the evidence will show that this is the life they were living. And then it will dawn, like the way it dawned on me when I met this lady, that this guy had been seen around all the time. The brother was actually somebody who can come and hurt you in the night.
All right, very well. This is the big issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM. We are also on City TV. We are on citynewsroom.com and on Facebook Live as well. A number of comments have come in. Let me quickly take some of them. And you can join the discussion also by sending us a messages on 0549 986 996. And on social media, the hashtag is the big issue. Anyagri Gideon in Garu says, I am not a prophet, but I tell you this investigation will not yield any results. What kind of investigation do they need? Is it that they have not watched the video? Oh, God, help us. I think that's in respect of the first issue about the lady in the banking hall. Abdul in Kumasi, good morning. My condolences to the people of Asawasi. Inshallah, justice will prevail for the 7 innocent souls wasted by our own police who are to protect us. They are now tagging us as armed robbers. It's a question you're asking. Please, let's remain calm. Allah is behind us, you say. The laugh from Dansuman. What the officer did was very disappointing and must be condemned in no clear terms. I am happy that the government official and all other panelists in your studio are dealing with it. I think until we are ready to look at how people get recruited and trained, we will forever have such situations. The work of an officer requires lots of emotional intelligence and proper exercise of discretion. Ishmael in Airport Hill says, we cannot talk about transformation in the service without looking at the issue of personal development. We cannot recruit SHS graduates into the service and expect them to develop to the level we expect them to be without any planned development. Emmanuel in Oyibi says, the assault on the poor customer of the Midland Loans and Savings by the uniformed policeman has revealed the seemingly lapses in the human resource capacity of the Ghana Police Service. The recruitment process, training, enlistment into the service ought to be reviewed and given a professional touch to conform to international standard operating practice. One area the authorities at this police service ought to pay much attention to is to adapt post-recruitment and enlistment processes of monitoring their attitude towards work, whether or not they are deviating from the exact training required. I suggest that some of the experienced retired police officers be engaged for the period of 2 years on rotation basis with the nationwide recruitment enlistment. All right, very, very good point you raised there. Salah in Tema says, I think this goes beyond the conduct of the police. The operations of the bank must be looked at. As far as I know, a customer inside the banking hall must be served. There were also banking officials around. Further action should be taken on the bank and the employees. I will read some more comments as the show grows. This is the big issue. We'll be right back after this short break.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Because we're giving only those in their third trimester. So in the next 3 months, those in their second would be ready to receive the kits. And we're taking data at registration, which is before they take the kits, at delivery and post-delivery, so that we can analyze and we'll see the numbers. So from the numbers and the data that we're collecting, we would know what has worked, what hasn't worked, you know.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on City TV.
Live music, interviews, poetry, and more with your favorite personalities. Be our guest on Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. for the most exciting moments on TV. Join Kojo Akoto Boateng for real entertainment right in your living room. Saturday Live on City TV and City 97.3 FM.
You're welcome back. This is the big issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM and also on City TV. Nana Ofori Owusu, Director of Operations at the PPP and a financial analyst, is joining us, and our old good friend Sydney Kesley-Hayford is also here in Batakari. So Sydney, I want to come to you now.
Where's the bullfruit?
I want to come to you now.
Nana Owusu is not a financial analyst.
He's always been.
I thought it was a rabble rouser.
So, I mean, we're discussing this Asawasi matter. The issue about how we recruit police or people into the police service is come up for discussion. The fact that some of them don't have the continuous training whilst in the service has also come up. And the general issue about professionalism is also come up for mention. I don't know if you can put this in perspective for us in respect of the first issue, which has to do with the Midlands one, and the same police people in this Asawasi shootings.
Morning. I don't think there's a connection. So for me,
the conduct of the police generally.
Well, the thing is this: the story so far is that the two policemen were also shot. Is that what it is? They were shot when they.
And one died. Yes.
And one died. So the supposed 7 people had a weapon or weapons, and they were shooting back at the police.
So that's one side of the story.
Well, even if it's just the one side of the story, the fact that the policeman was shot and died simply tells you that the other side had guns.
No, but these were separate incidents. These were separate incidents. One had happened earlier. So the police, in trying to investigate or get the perpetrators of those acts or the act, I mean, chanced upon these people who we understand were hired as people to take deaths from people for them, and then they thought they were robbers and they killed them. But the other aspect is that the police said they were exchanging gunfire with them, but nothing shows per the report on the police's vehicle or anything whether the people in this shot at them or not. So it's not very clear now. That is why, of course, there's a need for the independent inquiry or investigation.
So how was the policeman shot?
The policeman was shot
a different incident.
On a different day.
On a different
day. It was the same day. Different location, different incident altogether. And so the police, in trying to investigate or fish out the the said robbers who killed their colleague chanced upon these people, and the incident.
So killing the 7 people had nothing to do with the policeman who was shot.
No, on the same day, no. But the connection may be that the police were looking for the people who killed their colleague some time ago, maybe last week or last 2 weeks. You understand? And they saw these people, they suspected them of being robbers, they claimed they exchanged fire with them, and then they gunned them down.
The story doesn't make sense. And it seems to me that because it doesn't make sense and we don't have enough facts about how the whole thing happened, we are conjecturing.
No, but it's a fact that the 2 incidents didn't happen on the same day. The police officer was killed many days before the 7 guys were killed.
So
the 2 incidents didn't happen.
So let's dissociate that story from this one.
No, but one led to the other. That is the connection. And even the government statement, one led to the other.
They killed their member. They are launching investigation. So it's like they pounce on these people and they think that they are armed robbers. So
in the same community.
But we have to be careful. Even the word of the use of the word pounce might not be appropriate. It's possible where they found them was a result of their investigations. You see, to pounce on someone is to just chance on someone. You understand? I don't know what I get me.
Actually, if we had the police,
we should be patient.
If we had the police account, it was too shifty for me.
Okay.
I mean, the questions about whether they retrieved guns, questions about whether they fired back, all of that is shifty. Because at one point they said they saw a pistol, or a gun or something, and another breath they said, well, the people fired and they fired back. So if I don't know,
no,
so
like I've said,
I'm not saying that you are right.
Yeah,
it's possible
to use that word.
To think that
that word itself is quite judgmental. It means they just saw them by chance.
All right, so
but it's possible that
very well. Sydney was on the floor, so let's.
No, they can carry on.
No, Sydney, I want to hear you on this quickly.
But Sydney, my big question:
sure.
Were the 7 actually robbing when the process of robbing something?
No, they saw them in the vehicle.
So they saw them at a chop bar. They were eating fufu, and they're carrying something looked like a pistol. So they shot them.
They were not at the chop bar. Those details are not really out, but we understand that they were moving towards a place. I don't know. And you see,
was it at night or daytime?
I'm not sure. The pictures I saw with the bodies being carried into the bucket of the pickup wasn't in the night.
So information is not forthcoming.
Well,
proper information.
Then it seems to me that maybe the media is pre-ejaculating here. You are reporting a story for which you don't even know the facts of the story and what happened, and now we are supposed to discuss whether or not the police training is inadequate, but we don't have information. We don't know what happened, because as far as I'm concerned, any policeman who comes under fire for whatever reason has a right to shoot back, to defend himself, or else to eliminate the attacker.
But do you have tapes of? Don't you guys have tapes of the police, the officer who gave an account to the press as to what actually happened? You have it.
Yes.
I think the story is that the policeman is lying, and he's just covering up. He's covering up for the incident.
There are 2 sides of it, and nobody's believing the other. You get me?
Which 2 sides? The 7 people are dead.
Yeah, they are dead, and the police claim that they were criminals.
So it's only one side.
And then the town people too are saying that no, these people they are not. We know them. They live in the community. They couldn't have said so. Of course, I take cognizance of the point Dr. Kubo has made.
They were not bouncing.
About the fact that the fact that you know them doesn't mean they cannot be criminals.
Okay.
So that's the side of it. They say they know them. They are people. So they couldn't have been criminals because they work here, they do that, they do this. And some of them, we are even told, were bodyguards of the MCE also. Even people have gone ahead to suggest that some of them are members even of the Delta Force. That has also come up.
Hey.
All right, so let me...
The next thing we'll know, we'll be talking about an elite force of people who were trained in Zimbabwe or South Africa and have come and they were sitting down there plotting to eliminate the whole police command. I mean, what are we doing? You see, for me, there's something missing in the way we investigate and report these stories. And again, my disappointment is that the police altercation in which one of them died, in so many ways, has got nothing to do with this group, except for the fact that somebody suspects that, or the police suspects that this is the same group of persons who are associated with the previous two as part of the investigations. And where did they get the weapons from, anyway?
With the police.
There's a whole lot of conspiracy.
Robbers.
Sydney, there's a whole lot of conspiracy around
this. Has it been proven that they had
weapons?
Have
said that.
They said they shot the policeman.
Wait, the people have said that.
Different.
The people have said, the town people have said that they know. Some of the youth leaders have come and said they know for a fact that the police gunned down the people, and in an attempt to justify the action, went to bring weapons from their warehouse to show that these were the weapons the guys were holding. Of course, the Interior Minister has said that point is preposterous and that cannot hold. But aside from this, I've also had many instances where the police have allegedly done so. So this is not really in isolation.
I think we should just be a little more reserved and wait for the real story to come out, the facts of the matter to come out. If we get to know exactly who is at fault and what happened, then we can start applying remedies and accusations as to whether or not the police are not being trained properly. As for the banking hall incident, definitely you have a policeman who didn't have a clue where his limits were. Okay, that is a criminal offense. That needs to be sorted out. For him to have gone to the extent that he did, all right, even with everybody there yelling and pleading and telling him to stop, it doesn't make any sense. But there's a bigger picture behind all this. And the bigger picture is the question, how come Midland Savings and Loans could not pay out 250 or 270 CDs to a woman who came there several days, not just once, more than one occasion, asking for her money? You see, I spoke to my contacts in the Bank of Ghana, in the Banking Supervision Department, and I wanted to know whether or not there is a seeming or a looming crisis in the savings and loans and microfinance arena, which I suspect there is. Okay, because when the bigger banks start collapsing like that, the smaller ones are suffering even more. And if you work in the financial sector, it is no secret that we know that the rural and community banks, as well as the smaller microfinance and savings and loans companies, are struggling. Okay, and we've been saying it for a long time. The whole country is totally overbanked. You need to shrink it a little bit more, get a little bit more power concentrated. Yes, they are doing something about it. Yes, they are looking to recapitalizing and increasing the nominal base so that bigger banks can survive. But again, typical of Ghana, when something is wrong and has to be fixed, then we bring everybody inside. The pastor, the malam, the fetish priest, family counselors, peace council. Everybody now is begging that the Bank of Ghana should not be so strict and insisting on the increase in the capital base. And that is the solution to our problems. Okay? You need to have bigger, stronger banks. The indigenous banks have to get up and do something sensible with themselves. But we have everybody out there pretending to be a peacemaker, pretending to be some kind of safety net system, and the only people with a conscience who are available to get things done. But when the people are stealing the money and breaking the rules and breaking the law and carrying on, you don't hear them talking. All they are concerned about is that people will come and give their tithes. 270 CDs. 270 CDs. And I don't hear anybody talking about how the woman should go to her church and they should go and do a donation for her to give her 270 cedis.
No, but that's entirely a different matter.
Why? What is different about
this woman saved her money with the bank or with the institution. She was going to take her money back. I mean, the church, as you're saying, could come in, but not.
Did you hear Okoboy? Okoboy was talking about safety nets. How is this woman? What systems do we have in place? Where does she go to go and get her money? How does she go and report the case? Who is she going good? Etc.
But you don't go and report. You don't report to the church. It's a different matter altogether.
But that is what we have made it. That is what we have made it. We have made it such that the church is the end all and be all of everything.
I find it difficult to connect the two. The church is a different.
But you're connecting two armed robbers shot with 7 people.
No, I'm not doing a connection. Indeed, the government statement. I mean, I just.
And once the church has been mentioned, later the church tax.
I think what Sydney is saying essentially is that
we should use the law and the
church. Everybody goes.
No, this is a woman who has gone to. She didn't go to give.
It's her money.
She didn't give it to the
bank. Because the
woman
didn't go to the bank to beg. And you say church will say, okay, if the bank is not giving you, we will help you.
Church will do it purely on a charity basis. The woman was there for business. She went there to undertake a transaction. Her own money. She didn't give money to the church to keep for her. She gave the money to the banking institution to keep for her. So she was going for her own money.
Yeah.
And you give it to her. So the connection, the dragging the church in, I think, is a bit remote.
I'm talking about the church connection is with the safety net issue.
Safety
net?
What
I'm trying to say, which may be Awingobit.
Yes. Or Mr. Asaki.
Mr. Asaki.
You can say Asaki.
Just go ahead. Just go ahead.
It's called Samson. Samson.
It's okay. From Awingobit, he thought there was Atizia way. And then he could burn Asaki. And now he wants the third one.
Samson.
Samson. What Samson is not seeing, where I'm heading, is that this country, all right, has devolved too quickly. In fact, over the years, and it's a growing canker that we have now. That everything, be it macrofinance, microfinance, politics, everything in this country now can be solved through church. All right? Whether it be a Muslim church or it be a Christian church, it can be solved through church. And I'm saying that if we have a situation where you have a video that has gone viral showing a policeman beating a woman in a banking hall, and the story is that she only went to go and withdraw 270 cedis of her money, where is the church?
That's where I have a problem.
What's your problem? All right.
I remember years ago when I was in school in the US, and there was a famous police brutality case, Walter Rodney. And it was a brutality case. And at that time, we put a race twist on it in somebody's land. And the same thing happens in your land. Then you look around and say, where is the race matter? The poverty matter. Is the haves and the have-nots matter. This policeman, in street terms, we call him a punk. We call him a punk.
The policeman.
We can even call him bitch. B-I-T-C-H. And when I was listening to my brother, and you can tell that this guy has issues he has to deal with internally and emotionally. And when I saw it the first time, I thought it was some comedy skit.
You mean the policeman?
When I saw the banking altercation between him and the lady, I thought it was some type of a skit. I was like, can this be possible? And the man is slippering all around, and He's doing all these things. And I said, this guy is a punk. and the effort that he was putting in to subdue a lady and with everything. And I just said that this guy is a punk. And as I call him a punk, then I said, this woman is gallant. She's a warrior. That woman was ready to die for her money. She showed it, and you see, mothers are different people. When you hear stories of how mothers can lift a car off their child, maybe an accident and their legs is stuck and men are there and we are doing it, and the mother just comes and lifts the car and takes the child out. This is what I saw.
Which story is this one?
This has to do with the fight, the police brutality.
Arnold Schwarzenegger
yes, it was something. It looked like some. I thought it was a TV skit. So this punk,
adrenaline rush.
So this punk. You see, you're strong when you are internally right and you are fighting what we call a just war.
Yeah.
And when you're fighting a just battle, you get some exceptional strength. The David and Goliath battle. This was it. This is a classic case of a woman that is fighting for everything she has. For all you know, this is all the savings she has. And when you link it to my senior brother, the financial crisis we have in Ghana, we are playing like we are ostriches. There's a financial crisis. Somebody has gone there several times for their money. They can't get their money. Then she decides that, look, no matter what comes, what may, I'm getting my money. I'm leaving here with my money. She has left there with her money at the cost. But there's this punk who obviously was giving directives.
She didn't get the money.
No, we are told that
the bank said they will refund the money.
She got
they will.
250 cedis.
Yes, if they
used 100.
They haven't done so.
She used 100 to go and pay off her debt, and the 150 to buy further products that she sells, which is the toffees that she engaged in trading.
Didn't they give her? They gave her 270, right?
So the money, she got the money
After the beating?
after the beating.
No, that's wrong.
After the beating. No. I'm building my point. So I sat in the U.S. and I thought it was a race thing when Walter Rodney was beaten by police. I'm sitting in Ghana, and my sister, who from the face of it, seems that she doesn't have. And I'm looking at the disparity between the haves and the have-nots. Then you know there's a big problem. In Ghana here, of the 6 million accounts or so that's open with the banks, it's only about 1 million people who have opened several accounts. And we have and we talk about, we come to tax net issues. You want to bring these people into the banking sector. They have an inherent fear of the banking institution, which it is only in Ghana that you walk into a bank and the face of the teller, they squeeze their face, and you who have your money there, that some of it is being used to pay that teller sitting there, squeezes their face in delivery of a service for you. And people are already afraid of the banking sector. Then this thing comes further to exacerbate
to worsen
the situation, whereby people still have monies under their pillows. And then you are talking about, as a nation, you want to be able to take enough funds from citizens to run the nation. When the unbanked are more than the banked, then there's a situation that there's a deterrence. This is becoming antagonistic, that the poor who has fought to put their money there are not getting access to their money when they need it. Look, I have had emergencies that I needed to run into the bank at about 5:05. And I budged in there when the security man told me that. I said, what do you mean? I need my money. I have some things, emergency payments I need to pay. And I prevailed on the manager and they listened to my argument and they served me. This lady didn't have that. They didn't have that. And so the issue with the rich and poor, the police guy, that one, I'm happy whatever processes that is being engaged, he should face it, because nobody is trained in the services to be an idiot, to be a punk. Nobody is trained in the service, because when an order is given, you must add value to the order and execute the order. So if you are a punk like this guy, and you don't add value to an order, that is what you do.
Very well. And
you go around and you do this. Now, the death of my 7 brothers in the Islamic community.
If you can make it snappy.
My brother is sitting next to me. Look, during election campaigns, and I campaign in Winnipeg unsuccessful. During election campaigns, they go to Islamic communities and they pick these boys. And they sit in a car. And he. And NDC and people are both culpable of this offense. And then I went to one of the functions, one of our Eid al-Fitr or the other one. I went there and I told the imams and Islamic community, I said, look, you people, you sit here, and people come and load your children to go and do battle with who? With their own brothers and sisters. Then when they come back with one eye or one arm, then you people say it is God that wanted it that way. Really? And they are giving 50 cedis, 100 cedis to go and do these things. Then you build a profile on the Islamic youth, your own children, your own future. The leaders, the elders in the community, they say when they come back, they are waiting for their share. And you allow your blood, the future presidents, doctors, nurses, engineers, to be used as if they are non-humans. Hired guns that can lose their life for 50 Ghana cedis, 100 Ghana cedis. And then this thing comes, and a profile of your daughters and children are built. And when you profile somebody, in a just war, you must see the person to be less than or have a propensity for violence. So then it becomes justifiable when something happens. Islamic communities must wake up.
Very well.
And they must also speak to their own. And I am saying that whatever has happened, when the facts come out, we'll do our analysis. But there is a certain trend that we must be bold and talk about it. And so if you allow your child to be used destructively, to be a tool, to be meaningless to somebody who just come and load them as if we were loading goats in the car and taking away, and then come back, and then a problem comes, then we are all crying, mama. Who are you crying to?
Very well.
Cry to yourself and solve your problems. Because we talk about Ghana must solve its own problems. Each one of us must look within in our own small corner and begin to say the hard truth.
Well,
the hard truth, and let's deal with it.
Well, if I may chip in, my good friend here, the point here is that politicians, both NDC and MPP, use Zoom committee. That's what there's no you're not lying.
It's also a
the point here is that at that time,
I don't have a body
when they are looking for them to guide or to help them do campaign or whatever, they don't ask for qualification. My worry here is that after they win power, they are not asking them bring qualification. So
the Islamic community
if you use the person and you get power, give him the job you promise him.
But you are speaking.
You don't need them ideally sit at home.
Very well. I think that point is well made. This is the big issue. I'll take a few comments. We go for a break, come back and resume or get on to the budget debate. Michael Amini says, as a matter of fact, the conduct of the police officer beating the lady was unprofessional, very barbaric, and wickedness at the highest level. That should be condemned outrightly. If this police officer has a wife, I hope he will not have done such an inhumane thing to a woman. You said, I will entreat all of you to keep your comments a bit short so we can read them out to the public. Midland Savings and Loans should get a branch in Teshi Mamli, Old Teshi, and bring such police personnel there. Like, it will be very interesting to see the power of the twins behind Dr. Okoboy and what they can do. Anyway, FC, I like your level of analysis. Keep it up. You are an inspiration to some of us. Good morning to all your guests. Yes, in this policeman must be punished and sacked from the Ghana Police Service for his barbaric behavior. Please tell Mr. Samson Abengobe that I am his schoolmate back at Boku Secondary School, and since we completed, I have not seen him till today, and so he wants his contact. That's Anobia Martin. Good morning, Selom. Do you not think that the security of the nation is undermined? What am I seeing? Frank from Hacho. Not so clear about that. All right, so we'll take a quick break. We'll return and then we'll delve into the media budget review. Stay tuned. This is a big issue.
For regular news checks as they unfold, 2020 news, all day, all the time. Politics, sports, entertainment, business, and more. 2020 news. We bring you the world in 20 minutes.
And that's all the news in 20 minutes.
Live music, interviews, poetry, and more with your favorite personalities. Be our guest on Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. for the most exciting moments on TV. Join Kojo Akoto Boateng for real entertainment right in your living room. Saturday Live on City TV and City 97.3
All right, you're welcome back. This is a big issue on 97.3 City FM and on City TV. We go to the discussion on the media budget review. I will start off with
FC.
With Franklin Kujo, because I saw a post he made after the budget. The finance minister portrayed a very auspicious economy. He said they were on track. The fundamentals were strong. The proverbial fundamentals, he said were strong, and they were doing their best to ensure that the economy was stronger. So frankly, on the whole, you think that based on the presentation of the media review by the finance minister, the economy is healthy and strong as it's sought to portray?
Well, first of all, the fact of the matter is that, a media review or a media analysis of where we are headed is a good thing, really. And I suspect that because we are constantly thinking that governments needs to feed us, do everything for us, babysit us as well, what it means is that governments usually will be looking for money. Essentially, what the finance minister essentially was doing is to update us on the state of affairs, as long as taking care of us actually matters. And to the extent that there's a shortfall in revenue, which he believes must be made up for in certain state, must also be put in that particular light. Don't forget, when this whole review fever was catching on, there was some social media not just social media. I mean, these were persons very close to the government who were asking questions whether we should be fine with some increases in taxes and what have you. Some people have suggested that that was a ploy, but I mean, I think it was an intelligent way of seeking answers from people. I don't think it was a ruse. I don't think it was anything to make to get people to feel that something else might happen at the end of the day, which obviously didn't happen. But to suggest that the review itself essentially means that we are likely or we are somehow healthy in itself, it's also an aberration on the way we spend money. I didn't hear pretty much whether government itself was taking steps to cut down its own size. And by size, I don't mean just the numbers. You know, sometimes when people talk about the size of government, people perceive it to mean just the numbers that obviously we have been dealing with in the past. But even the taxes as well and the regulatory barriers that are usually erected can also cause that. And my worry really is that I was expecting some of the tax issues that were mentioned to be probably well explained. You know, some people now believe that, oh, there has not been an increase in VAT, which is true, but
not entirely
the case, because what it means right now is that some sort of a flat tax or sales tax has been introduced. Fact of the matter, though, is for me, and I have in an interaction with the finance minister, some of us mentioned it, that I'm happy. I mean, ideologically, I'll be happy to see a flat tax in a country where we substantially reduce income taxes. Because with a flat tax, a lot more people tend to pay, right? And not just income taxes, because not many people are formal workers per se. But in this part of the economy, we could as well reduce other taxes for businesses. So reduce a bit of corporate tax, reduce a bit of other taxes for SMEs or what have you, and then have a flat tax. I mean, these things have been done elsewhere. Estonia did it, like in fact, Russia even did it to some interesting, with some interesting results. And people like Steve Forbes have been arguing for a flat tax revolution around the world. So, with that background, when I heard the mathematics that was played with the VAT,
the recalibration
of it. Initially, when the finance minister said there will be no increases in VAT, first of all, what jumped at me was, well, this is good. But I knew that along the way, he was likely going to say certain things, because again, he's made the point that, look, we had revenue shortfalls, and we need to also prosecute certain agenda, social goods and all of that, some of which we'll be talking about shortly. So for me, I was not surprised when I saw the rather interesting, if you like, recalibration of the tax system that we have, which eventually, though, would mean that the incidence of paying more tax falls on the business person. But everybody knows in economics, really, at the end of the day, what it means is that 5% will pass on to the consumer anyway. So it increases revenues of the government, and then automatically would, in an economy such as ours, which is not truly productive, would mean that whatever services are provided will be shifted onto the final consumer. Having said that, though, I would say that, look, there are other things ahead in the budget which also goes to buttress the point that sometimes when we are making certain decisions, we should be a bit mindful. Don't forget, 600 million cedis was supposed to be allocated to NAPCO. The budget reviews mentioned 30 million and suggested that, but this is July, third week in July.
And the 30 million was for the initial works.
Yeah, but that's the point. So I'm only trying to suggest to you that the shortfalls we are seeing is also as a result of some of the policies we are actually embarking upon. So the 600 million is not fully guaranteed for this year. 30 million, and there's a mention of some 70 million by the end of August. There's a number that has been mentioned, as in the recruitment, I think 145,000 people were supposed to have been shortlisted, but 100,000 will. They promised 100,000. Point I'm trying to make is that there's a huge shortfall. If by the 3rd week of July, we still have an allocation of 30 million, possibly to go to 70 million by the end of August, and how many months are away to the end? 600 million is not guaranteed, which means that obviously when the policy was thought of, we probably did not anticipate the shortfall in revenue, which we need to obviously deal with.
But the 30 million, the program hasn't started, so you couldn't be allocating 600 million to what? Because the guys haven't been engaged yet for you to start paying them.
Exactly the point I'm making. So the point is that by the end of August, you'd have paid 70 million, assuming the 100,000 people were, engaged, right? There's a need to, as the finance minister himself says, realign or balance some of the expectations of people they themselves actually sold, as against what we actually expect the government to also do. But all in all, I would say that, well, the other forms of taxes which are not clearly defined, I mean, the luxury thing is an interesting bit. I mean, or you come to that. These are just plenary comments.
We'll come to that. We don't have a lot of time, but so I want the comments to be a bit snappy.
But I thought, let me just wrap up because I may not have another chance. So, point is this. The luxury tax thing, obviously, I mean, anybody like ostentatious livelihoods, if a tax is an inelastic thing, people will pay. Just that this one has not been properly defined. In fact, it's an eco tax, which is an ecological, whatever, environmental tax, which is not bad. But we need to define it because there are tracks that they look luxurious, but at the same time are used for purposes of commerce, and which we need to look at again. The income tax bit, clearly the difference isn't that huge, but if you look at it carefully, if there's a 200 CD difference from what people who are earning 10,000 and above pay, and you have 70,000 of them, that's about 160 something million cedis for the government, and that's more money. So having said that, the penchant to raise more revenue for the state may be useful, but we need to be seeing the balancing act as well.
Very well.
Some of the things that we are doing. But finally, though, you realize that the wages and compensations are likely to go up. There's a 200 something million cedis that has been budgeted to go up for compensation. What we don't know is what productive values we'll be getting in return. As it is, the economy was promised to be moving from taxation to production. We still haven't seen those fundamentals yet, except some measly, if you like, good news when it comes to some of the plantation and agriculture, planting for food and
jobs.
Jobs and all of that. You are truncating my thoughts, but that's fine. I'll allow others to speak because I suspect we'll come back to some of the issues.
All right, so Nana Fori, we've always said government should find innovative means of raising money. The restructuring of the VAT regime appears to many as a smart move, an innovative one, and the fact that people in the higher income earning bracket, people who want to use luxury cars, and people who earn above 10,000 cedis, etc., will have to pay more, appears like the thing to do, appears quite innovative, so that the people who can really pay the tax are those paying. Do you disagree?
How many of our society people are earning more than 10,000?
No, so the few earning the 10,000.
What primarily our financial systems have not changed. We still import more than we export. We don't add value to our domestic products. We are primarily agrarian society, and then we still have the same model we have had since Nkrumah. So, but at the same time, nothing comes free in society. Some of the free school, free SHS, or continuous basic education, SHS included, will come at a cost to us as a people. The PPP, we have championed this particular policy, is a policy that we believe must be pursued aggressively. We even think that their pussyfooting around the implementation is too slow. So yes, we must pay as a society. It's a social contract. And that is why I always advocate from every time that the interplay between governance and we the citizens must be constant. And government must always try and give us the vision. Because you see, a government cannot come and just do what they want without our participation. So it behooves on government to give us the blueprint that allows us to play our part as individual citizens. And the problem is not the raising of the funds. I'm in agreement with now Vice President Bawumia that the money is here in Ghana. And due to corruption, we are unable to get the money. 2017 Auditor General report has shown close to 1 billion cedis that has been misused in one form or the other, just in 2017. So we must also pay greater attention to plugging the holes, because the basket is leaking. So we must also plug the holes in order for the new funds that will come in to be used and used meaningfully and used well to our benefit. But you cannot have a society that we can sit here and we think that we want free this, and we don't pay for it. We'll pay for it in one way or another. And so the innovation in which they are trying to do is okay. The discussion, that's why I'm saying that if you come to me straight on as a citizen and say, look, the tax must be raised. Tax must be raised. We need to bring in more income. Talk to us and raise the tax. But when the creative ways come, and at the end of the day, you see that the tax has been raised, then that is where I say there is the disconnect. Because you don't need to become fanciful with the citizens, because at the end of the day, they will feel it in their pockets. And when they feel it in their pocket and they tell you that you are deceiving them, that is where the problem comes. So I think always, all successive governments should always, and future governments should always tell us as it is, and let us bite the bullet, and let us support, and let us move on. Because you cannot be a proud Ghanaian when things are not going well, government raising funds to be able to execute some of the social programs, and the rest is not going well. We all have one Ghana. And that is why we say that negative speculation against our financial systems has an adverse effect on our city. Apart from the other imbalances with trade and all of those things. When you speak ill of what you have, and the world becomes skeptical of your systems, then the world begins to weigh your system as very unstable, and then it has a negative effect on your governance, on your development as a people. So I welcome whatever it is, but I would like it to be straight, because the calculations that we do, there has been an increase. So tell us. I believe that if we are going free schooling and we look at the mathematics and the other things that we are doing, but you see, government is also making a mistake. I think that this thing that they are employing is 100,000 people. It's wrong, because you continue to take on all these burdens and you don't have the money.
But the people must work.
The people must work, find ways to partner with the private sector, and let the private sector be those people who create the job. Government is not in the business of creating jobs. And when you already have people who are existing, and then the wage bill of government is so high, and you are not able to get the proper output from your employees and all of that, you don't have targets set in the public sector, and then you continue to do that government can employ everybody, and you start doing.
But the people are also needed,
what I'm saying is that,
places.
My brother, there is no doubt that everybody ran on jobs 2016. It is all NDC, PPP, MPP ran on jobs. But the jobs does not all have to be government being the one to be paying money out of his coffers to put further burden on them when they can't meet some of the basic inputs that we need. We are an agrarian society. There must be more money into the agricultural sector.
Very well.
And all of that. So I plead that some of those things, they should exercise restraints and the willpower not to continuously engage government in this business that they are doing.
Very well.
Yes.
Very well. Mr. Wingobit, last year government scrapped certain taxes which benefited your association or your members, the importers and exporters. And this year it appears that, contrary to what we heard before, that certain taxes were going to be raised, amongst other things. We didn't really see a lot of that. What is the sentiment from your fold?
Salam, thank you very much. I'm not going to deviate from what my mentor Franklin Kujo have said.
Franklin is your mentor?
He's my mentor. He's my mentor.
Yes. Sounds good to me.
The point is that the finance minister said something very tricky in Parliament. That we should stop taking economic issues, policies issues from social media and whatever. And I believe economic policies debate came from social media through his own house. It was one of the government officials who tested water, and I'm sure it was deliberately to see the thinking of Ghanaians, whether Ghanaians were ready for tax increment or not. However, I was in the public gallery that day, and strongly, where I sit as Executive Secretary for Importers and Exporters Association, I wasn't impressed. Yes, I wasn't impressed in the sense that you just made mention in your intro. 2017 budget, the budget name was called Asempa budget. I described that budget as a Hunter budget. Why? Reasons because prior to election, the then NDC government laid their budgetary statement for 2017 in November 2016. And before
the first quarter of the year.
Before Honorable Satekwe came to Parliament, the conversation came up. So important as what I'm saying is that we wanted them to abolish the special levy import and reverse the 3% back to the retail sector. They didn't. So they went ahead to do their project. So meaning if they had won first quarter, they was continuing going to collect that special levy. So when MPP took over on the 7th of January, within 1 month intervals, they were able to put such a robust budgetary. And in 2016, when they were campaigning, they said they were coming to make sure that they were not going to do tax killer. They are not going to introduce tax killers. They are going to abolish nuisance taxes. Instead of tax economic driven, they will do production, so that you can drive this country. So that when business produce and grow, then they can be taxing them from there. That was a good policy, budgetary statement that they made. So I praised them so much, and I said that was the reason I also named it a Hunter budget. On that very day, on at the cabinet program on the FM in the at Parliament, I took forward how to tell me, okay, then Mr. Zaki, then take off your big smoke. You know I like wearing smokes. Take off your big smoke and go and put on MPP T-shirt and come and speak, be a communicator. So I said, no, I speak on issues. So 4, 5, 6 months down the lane, you remember that 3%, the almighty 3% that they went to Parliament. Instead of them to say they're reversing back to the retailers, they use the word traders. That is why I said no. Why? Because you are diverting from what you promised Ghanaians. One. And I was lucky in all their communication, because in good time, when the MPP was drafting their trade manifesto, it was Honorable Kojo Kremente, right? If I pronounce Alan Kremente, then Honorable Kogu Kwate, now the Deputy Minister, they came, and I was called from all the way from Tema to Guta. So we discussed all these issues. 2 weeks to election, they brought the presidential candidate. Now His Excellency the President. Then the promise was what I'm establishing. Then, so after we NDC heard that the president can meet us to, they said they were inviting us to President Mama. And I said, no, I won't go. Because at the time when we needed President Mama, they didn't allow us to go and meet the president. So if 2 weeks in the air, the new presidential candidate has come, and then I wanted, I will go. So that very afternoon, when AGI and Gute and I were at presidency, I was on staff FM that said, I won't go. Because your principle must be principle. So when their budget came, I applaud them. When they introduced the 3% to, and said that whether you are wholesalers, and I'm sure you are monitoring, wholesalers, retailers, importer, or whatever, I said no. One, if you say retail, and I'm sure when we go out of your station here, you will see a container that a young lady or a young man, it's all Ghana here that we don't see men open small containers. If you go to Mali in that area, it is the men, come again?
They may be the ones sponsoring.
No, but if you go to this Mali and other areas, you see those provisions are made by men. That women don't do it.
It's true.
So that person, you go and ask the person, oh, how much do you make sales a day, a week, and a month? And you tell the person to pay 10 series or 100 Ghana series, the person will not feel it. But if you go to Katamanto, if you go to Oboshokai, or if those who import from the port pay in tax, including 17.5% VAT as their input, because that input tax is smaller in terms of, and now you have finance guys here, it's smaller as compared to after clearing the goods, sell them, and hiring a transporter to transport your goods to your warehouse. So you incur what? Transportation costs. You get to the warehouse, you look for laborers to discharge the goods into your warehouse. So labor came in here. Plus the businessman margin. So you calculate. So when they are selling it out to you, the output tax is bigger than the input tax. But you don't keep all. What they used to do is that they will subtract the input tax and then bring the difference used to be 2.5 to 3% into government. So we said those who are in the containers, shops, small shops, we call them retail shops. When Honorable Satekwe moved them from 2013 to 17.5%, it was a challenge to them. They cannot even afford to employ a qualified accountant to be able to do input in, output in, as compared to someone who's a nestle distributor. You go and take goods worth 2 billion, worth 1 billion, or you go to Unilever, you take goods. So wholesales, distributor, importer should be taken out of this. Indeed, Honorable introduced 3% to retail, and even at that point, there was a threshold in this investment. There was a threshold that if you begin with a certain capital and you reach like maybe 100,000 Ghana cedis going, you can opt to do the standardization tax, input in output tax. So this was, but if you ban on implementing this in July 2017, what was going to happen? Those who do sales and servicing industry, man, they are going to present 2 books. One, if they are selling to you, they invoice to you at 17.5. But as servicing industry, they do it to you at 17.5. Meanwhile, their input tax at the port is no more claimable. So government take the port. And so
if you can fast track a bit.
Yeah, I will fast track it.
2018, yes.
So I'm dwelling this on because the finance minister says that they give a lot of tax relief, but you can't give me 1% special levy abolishing and introduce 3% and taking the importer 17.5% at the port and all belong to you. So it becomes a cost. So it has to increase price and inflation as well. So that was where our debate came from. The 2017 budget, which we also saw that government was going to reduce 17.5% on pharmaceutical products and certain raw material importers who bring into produce in Ghana here. Those taxes were actually Parliament approved it, but it has not been implemented in the port. It has not been implemented in the port. So when the finance minister came to Parliament this time around, I was thinking that on 1%, on the special levy, we were having 1% and 2%. So I was thinking that the 2% were at the time that the government were going to, the finance minister was going to say, okay, I'm abolishing the additional 2% special levy from your listen. So some kind of, you give relief to the importer. He didn't do that. So they are still going to collect the additional 2% special levy on the importing net. Again, the finance minister described that he was not going to increase VAT. But the new levies that he said, even the luxury levy, how much is it? We have not been told the percentage.
A levy has a percentage. Whether it was going to be 1%, whether it was going to be 2%, it's in vacuum. I'm sure. And of course, the flat rate of national health insurance and the jet fund, which he said it was going to be a flat rate, it's just like the retail sector, or just like what they did on the 3%. If I tell this commodity, and I'm bringing it to him, I will take your Owusu, right? Yeah. I will charge you 3%. Maybe Owusu, I'm the importer. Owusu is a distributor or a wholesale. So Owusu also take it to his shop. And Honorable is coming to pick the commodity from there. So Owusu is going to also invoice to him at 3% or at the flat rate that they are talking about. Then he will be the, let's take that, if he's lucky, he will be the final person to do to, the final consumer. So he's retailing. You are now going to do a retail. So the longer the supply chain, the commodity go, the higher. So government is going to recoup a lot of money. So it's, in its form, government has introduced tax. That's what the NDC says is behind the closed door. So you have, and then it's eating into the margin of the business community. So moving from taxation to production is no longer the language for my very good brother here. That business community is now, but the government promises so much. How come that now they're in government? This is what they are doing to business community. So business community is very furious. Again, the finance minister described our city depreciation as relatively, all know that it's an English language. For the business community, for the businessman, he wants to go to bank, put his money at the commercial bank, and see that the commercial bank convert to the prevailing rate at the commercial bank at 4.4 and 4.5 or 4.6. You kept your money there, and 2-3 hours get like the woman who went to the bank, they are kissing him. The bank manager pick a phone and call and say, you have to go to Alhaji. How did Alhaji get the forest? Alhaji will give to you at 4.8, 4.9 Ghana cedis. And you come to describe it as relatively?
Relatively stable.
Relatively stable?
Yes.
I think we have missed certain priorities. So, to the business community, who were expecting for the government to tell her, okay, well, because before he came to Parliament, I said the Bank of Ghana gives forest to commercial banks every week to do sales or to trade. These commercial banks offload the forest because they know Alhaji will make more money, make more money. So they give to Alhaji, and now asking you a lot about this, go and withdraw a whooping amount of money, go to Alhaji and change. So if you use 100,000 Ghana to change $50,000 to do business, now you use 100,000, you are changing less than 50,000. So you have to go and borrow. Look at our interest rate in our banks.
Very well.
Again, on forest, let me just add this.
Quickly.
I was also expecting the finance minister to tell us what they've done for, is it job for what? Farmers, this farmer.
Planning for food and
planning for food and job. It's not just planning for food and job. What is our priority on the one district, 1F? The president says that we are going to look for every district, identify what commodity that we can develop for export. As you speak, you can't pinpoint to tell me that this factory has finished and they are producing this for an export. Quite apart from that, I wanted to see how much the AD Fund or now Exim Bank or the Minister of Agri, through in collaboration with the Minister of Finance, saying, okay, we have identified pawpaw, we have identified pineapple, we have identified mango, we have given so much fund to this. Look, if you go to other countries that will do export, and that was, I said this yesterday in Home-Based TV, some of the ambassadors in Ghana here, this ambassador that we see in Ghana here, they cases this traders association every day, every night, to tell you what is in their country for export. So government priority should be on more export, to encourage even importers to go into more export. And when we export more and bring in the forest into the country, our city will not depreciation.
Very well. I mean, you may have an
to get land.
Okay.
My heart is bleeding. Even Mr. Kisley Hayford said something, and I want to disagree with him. That the commercial banks, we know that we have a crisis, but you know this volatile situation of our city depreciation is as a result of this international banks that are operating in our country, including international companies like communication. At the end of the day, they will have to repatriate their profit. We need to encourage more indigenous banks. The Bank of Ghana governor, they say he's using the Bank of Ghana law to close down indigenous, but he should understand that if the indigenous
he's not using the law to close down indigenous.
But what is it? What is it? It's in the law.
All banks are supposed to meet the threshold.
It's not the law.
I support it.
It's not a. It's not a law. It's a regulation.
Right.
What do you inform by regulation?
But nobody has said it's for indigenous banks.
It's for everybody.
So the indigenous banks
it's for banks. You protect their own
protectionism.
Look, you have to understand that
this is your mentor, Mr.
If you go to Cote d'Ivoire, 70% of the big banks.
Of course, it doesn't listen to my mentor.
And you go to Cote d'Ivoire, 100%. So every time you go to Nigeria, 70%.
You have to protect your local. I mean, he's spoken a lot. Obviously, all that he's saying is that his side of the table. Is not happy with the budget as read out by the media review.
Is that what he was trying to say?
In essence, the media review as presented by the finance minister, the new tax measures. The issue about compliance also came up strongly. In the past, the concern had been that the compliance measures were not very strict and strong. The finance minister said that this time around they were going to be very strong on that, to the extent that they were going to set up a special VAT attack force to ensure enforcement and deepen VAT penetration from the current levels of 11% and also institutional reforms at the GRA. You mentioned quite a number of tax reforms. You think that these tax reforms are good enough to ensure that we have more people supposed to be paying taxes paying?
Let me try and see if maybe I can move this away from this attempt to try and dissect every single statement that has been made.
But the tax compliance has always been a big issue.
Yeah, but tax compliance has been lax for decades in this country.
But this is a new thing he's introducing.
Yeah, but there's nothing new about it. All right? He's only now saying that we're going to try and do it better.
Yeah.
That's all he's saying. There's nothing new about tax compliance. Everybody knows you have to pay your taxes, both income and corporate tax, as well as any other taxes. It's a law. It's there.
But people don't pay. So he's taking particular interest in enforcing.
And I'm saying it is nothing new. It is not. It is not a revolution. All right. All he has to do is to plug it, and fortunately, you have electronic means of plugging it. Now, look. So many countries are way ahead of us in solving this problem. In Rwanda, the minute you buy anything in a shop, whether it be wayside shop or anything, as soon as you finish paying for it, the relevant value-added tax or whatever other taxes are associated is transmitted straight away to the revenue authorities. It doesn't wait for anybody to come back and come and do a quarterly return.
Still devise something.
Yeah, it doesn't wait for people to come and do a quarterly return and then to determine whether or not your input and your output, it doesn't come in at all. It's going straight. Why is Rwanda doing so well? Because they are just being commonsensical and doing the appropriate thing. Look, we have a problem. And just like every developing economy, and even developed economies have the same problem. You have a whole host of graduates who are unemployed. You got to find work for them. Whether you like it or not, if you don't give them work to do, one day they will get up and they will beat you. Because they will be starving and it'll cause mayhem. So with every economy in the world, you have to find employment for those who are unemployed and qualified. There's no question about that. Any sensible economy will make sure that it has food self-sufficiency, because you cannot afford to depend on other countries to give you food for your people to eat. Let's take a typical example, something in which Nana and Group Indum are now involved in. We import over $600 million worth of rice into this country. And we can grow rice. All right? We have land, arable land, available to grow lots of rice. Afram Plains, huge expanse lying there. It needs to produce rice. That's where we should put the money, so we can have enough. Ghana is becoming a rice-consuming country. We have Sierra Leone, Liberia. They consume a lot of rice. We can export there when the time comes. Nigerians don't eat that much rice. They eat yam. We also eat yam. And we need yam. So let's grow enough to be able to supply. We are bringing in onions from Burkina Faso. Why? We can grow onions here. One of the biggest importers into this country of tomato puree is a Chinese company. All right? They bring their tomato puree in here in bulk, and they come and can it here. They call it what? Tom Tom or something.
Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's forgotten the name.
Tommy or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard this, but I'm not particularly sure about it, though. So
yeah. So you see,
the origin of it.
You see, the point of the matter is, we are making a big mistake because we are falling into the trap of international indicators that do not help us to grow.
That's
you see,
yeah.
you are
for export.
You are concentrating on macroeconomic numbers, debt to GDP ratio, this inflation and that inflation, and you can't even grow enough food. What does it take to grow food?
And even fruits.
Get the seed, put the thing in the soil. If you want to do
but is that not what the
inorganic
planting for food and jobs is seeking to address?
And that is where the emphasis should be. You see, what I'm trying to tell you is that if we stop trying to kowtow, all right, to certain measurements and indicators, you lose focus of the more important and critical things.
Exactly.
Look, I disagree that we should be using our graduates, whom we have spent so much money on, and put them on a farm to go and plant food. All right? The whole dynamics of this thing has changed. Go to the countries that are more agronomically or agriculturally self-sufficient. They don't have 200 people farming 200 acres of land. They have one person. All right? One person with a combine harvester. Right. Automated processes.
That's right.
Harvesting is simple. People are developing machines that will plant, maintain, harvest, bag, and process with one single machine. Okay? So when you put 100,000 people into something which you call Nation Builders Corps, okay, it has to be a stopgap measure. It has to be something that you are doing only temporarily.
Yeah, it's a medium term.
Because you have 100,000 unemployed youth, and you need to figure something out in order to be able to get it.
Did you know
get
the
it done?
first 3 months of the
It must be
they have to
exciting.
train. They have to go through military exercise.
That is the same thing that we set up with the National Service Secretariat. When we did the National Service Secretariat, you were supposed to have military training as part of the program before you went there, supposed to give us discipline. So you can go and shoot 7 armed robbers.
No,
Okay?
They won't be police people.
I'm being cynical.
I get it.
All right? But the fact of the matter is that if, as a developing country, all right, like us, we can't sit down and forge a paradigm of how we are going to be able to solve the problems that we have. You want infrastructure. Where is the money going to come from? If you listen to what people are saying, they said, don't increase my taxes and don't spend my money by heart. But you want me to develop the infrastructure, build the railways, get the airlines going, build warehousing, etc., etc., etc. Where is the money going to come from? If a government, the finance minister, has been able to come up with a novel way, some creative way of increasing tax revenues. Okay? What we should be doing is kicking ourselves, especially if you're in the NDC, for not being able to figure that one out instead of increasing all the taxes. There's a big difference. There are nuisance taxes and there are necessary taxes. If you tax condoms, it's a nuisance. If you tax machete, it's a nuisance. If you tax finance transactions, it's a nuisance. All right? But if you increase somehow the VAT that you need, consumption taxes are increased in order to be able to raise revenues, in order to be able to develop infrastructure. It's a necessary tax.
Sidney, how do you reconcile the point you made earlier with building a productive economy than economy that is reliant on a lot of consumption from which you tax people? And so people then say, well, you are taxing me too much, because if we build the necessary food stock or something locally, we could have used those monies rather. So it's a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah, it's a chicken and egg. And where are you going to get the money from? I mean, if you say we should grow more, and I say we should grow more, where am I going to get the money to provide the seeds or to make the seeds available for you to be able to grow? Somebody has to get it from somewhere.
But that's that is precisely what I've been saying. That
in its private sector,
apart from private sector, the vision must be sold, and transformation must be enthusiastic. If you sit here and you say you want young people to go into agriculture, they must be enthusiastically ready to embrace it. And what have we done to make agriculture sexy?
Attractive.
It must be sexy.
That he's saying that you should go beyond the numbers into very productive agriculture where you are using commercializing agriculture.
Yes.
Mechanizing.
And then the prioritization must be with the vision. You see, we sit here as citizens and we really don't know the prioritization. So you are in a state of permissive colonialism.
I say that.
You think we can get everything?
I say that when you have
to take a break.
When you have a 1D1F, let me just say that. Then I'll come back to what I want to say. If you prompt me on cocoa and chocolate development, but you have 1D1F, one district, one factory. It's a good idea. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good idea, but you just have to.
Reality.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
It must be focused.
Yes,
you can't just say you do a chocolate chip approach where you do a little bit of everything.
But it's there, and what is missing? What is missing is you don't have enough supply to be able to do your 1D1F. All right, so you need to get the supply going, but you can't do the supply with one person farming 1 acre. It doesn't make any sense. So me as a young man, all right, if you took me as a student and say go and plant 1 acre of tomatoes, what am I going to do?
It's not sexy.
Absolutely.
It's not attractive.
Right? What I'm more interested in, what can I do with the tomatoes after it has been grown?
Very well.
There must be a factor to feed.
All right. So this is the big issue, 97.3 City FM and on City TV. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, take responses from Dr. Okoboy, and try and do that education discussion also in the last minutes of the show. Stay tuned in and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Wherever the weekend sporting action happened, we will bring it to you here on Scorecard. Every goal, every dunk, every punch, the winning strides, and the winning volleys.
International media, he said, look, wait, sit and wait. Let me have a meal with my people. And I think that that's the same cool, it's the same organization he brings to the field every time I've seen him play. He looks to me like somebody who has played over 50 caps already.
Okay.
But this guy has barely played over 25 caps for the national team.
All of the weekend's action in one place. Scorecard every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. prompt on City TV.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Because we're giving only those in their third trimester. So in the next 3 months, those in their second would be ready to receive the kits. And we're taking data at registration, which is before they take the kits, at delivery and post-delivery, so that we can analyze and we'll see the numbers. So from the numbers and the data that we're collecting, we would know what has worked, what hasn't worked, you know.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on City TV.
For regular news checks as they unfold, 2020 news all day, all the time. Politics, sports, entertainment, business, and more. 2020 news. We bring you the world in 20 minutes.
And that's all the news in 20 minutes.
To the listeners, and then Bukoboy will take
over.
All
right, you're welcome back to the big issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM on City TV as well. We are also on citynewsroom.com. We're discussing the media budget review presented to Parliament by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Sidney Kisley-Hayford was on the floor making a point about production and how we should see the taxing regime, amongst other things. He will quickly conclude on that point, then Dr. Okoboy will come in, then we can make progress and move to the next issue.
All right,
yes, if we can just finish it.
So that last year, what I'm talking about. Take cocoa, all right, where we know we export raw beans. And we're saying, let's not export raw beans anymore. Let's add value. What we forget is that there are other people who are taking our cocoa and they are making nicer chocolates. Yeah. What chocolates are we going to make, which we can export? And you are big on exporting. What chocolates are we going to make that will go and rival Cadbury and Fry, Hershey's, and all those Mars bars that they have out there? All right? We make, and we have to make the cocoa here. We have to add value. Which means you have to challenge the youth who are unemployed to take that raw material stock and use it to make something that can be converted into good realizable income. Mm-hmm. Likewise, for every single raw material that we have, shea nuts into shea butter or into something else, mm-hmm. cashew into something else, etc., etc., etc. That is what makes it attractive for the youth. It's the processing and the added value mm-hmm. which we are concerned about. And you want the youth to be able to tune their minds to do something that will create a market for them to be able to feed into. It is not always all about, let's just do it and export it, let's do it and export it. There's a market here. There is money here.
Yeah. So why are they not exploited?
Go
because
out.
We do, to add to
no, you don't understand.
We
the
assemble,
cost of production in Ghana is too challenging to the manufacturers. Mm-hmm. If you go and take chocolate, even Ghana we produce chocolate, you know that. Cocoa processors produce chocolate. How much is it? 5 cedis? Uh-huh. How would the ordinary Ghanaian buy chocolate at 5 cedis? Uh-huh. So the reason is not that they want too much money, but because the cost of production, utility is too expensive.
So the government needs to subsidize the cost of production. No subsidizing. No subsidizing. You change from the fossil fuels which you are using, the thermal, to gas, which is cheaper. Mm-hmm. And that technology is available today.
Very well.
You just simply have to fix it.
I want to go to Honorable Okoboy, and he's been quietly listening to the discussion. Honorable, the new taxes, the new tax measures, luxury tax on luxury vehicles. We don't even know what it is now. We don't know how much of a percentage of the total value of the car we're going to be paying. And that itself is not a one-off tax. It will be renewed every year. You know, the 10,000 threshold we also talk about. People have said a lot of things about it. For example, somebody is using a big car. He's not using a big car out of luxury. He's using it because his road, the connection to his house is very bad. So he has to use that car. Otherwise, he will have to be going to the mechanic shop every day. So it's not necessarily a luxury vehicle, as you want to put it.
I agree.
So taxing all these people extra will be overburdening the Ghanaian and the person who pays a lot of the taxes anyway already.
You know, to start,
if you can make it quite brief.
You know, most of my friends here.
So you have to respond to them first.
So at least I need a little bit of. I'll try to make it as quick as possible.
So quickly.
Yes. You know, first of all, this is a government, like my brother said, that after listening to industry, took away the SIL, special for delivery, the VAT on financial transactions, took off the 5% on real estate, took off the 17.5% on domestic air tickets. When we were doing all this, what was the motive? It's because we wanted sectors to have the freedom to grow. We wanted the least of disruptions. And you yourself mentioned that we were willing to listen. We did that because that is the intent. And we are still committed to that. Now, the programs that we are running, some of the programs, like Sydney said, when you have a lot of people who are unemployed and people are growing, except real sector, how do you call it, industry is growing, those who are well positioned are making it. Those making it cannot be safe when the majority are fasting. So it is incumbent on the government that is trying to create the right atmosphere for people to grow themselves, to also think of those who by reason of their skill set or positioning, I'm coming, who must be. That's why you go to advanced capitalist countries and they have measures for covering people who are vulnerable. Now, I would also be quick to admit that when you have people who are in the sector saying that, okay, you took away SIL, but because of ABC, we are struggling, or the cost of business has increased, it is important we get closer to them and find a way of making sure, find a way of ensuring that our intent of making business friendly actually is achieved. Because those who study taxes will tell you sometimes it can get quite complex, where you do an impact analysis and what you meant to do good is actually causing harm. I mean, the most important thing...
more stakeholders engagement.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The most important thing is to engage more. And I think the position of this government is to do that. It's like this Guta, when we try to bring in some measures that they actually came out openly and said, look, this is hurting us. And when we looked, we checked, it was really hurting. And quickly, they had to be taken out. But you see, the talk about production, is that what we still do? Yes, that's what we do. Let me explain. You can never sustain production when the cost of energy is unreasonable. You see, I talked to one of the biggest companies in this country. They are into production of pipes. And the boss told me, Doc, when you work in this country, you work for two agencies, for ECG and for GRA. This is what he told me. And he said, when he meets people, he tells them, you should be mad to be wanting to bring your money into this country. He said sometimes when he meets those in charge, he tells them straight away, you want me to go to a forum? Do you want me to go and blacklist the country? This was his comments when he met me. So any government that takes away 17.5 on electricity, I mean, for non-residential, our 30%, and then 10% of mining, those measures we took, the only motivation was to make sure that somebody like this man, they have the room to operate. Because he did not want to invest. He told me he's not going to recapitalize. So this government knows that to support production or to encourage production, your electricity must not only be available or reliable, it must also be affordable. Ivory Coast was producing power at a far cheaper rate than what we were doing prior to the coming of this government. And in fact, sometimes the government was tempted to buy power from outside than to produce locally because it was cheaper importing power. So these are fundamentals that if you don't correct, your production agenda cannot work. The second thing is capital. How are your interest regimes like? Senate says that you need young men to be attracted to adding value to your goods. If the interest rate on the loan to go into this business is about 25 or 30%, I mean, how much would you make And how are you going to pay?
Sure.
You see, so all these regimes, and that's why you have a government that is trying to make sure that at least some of our fundamentals are quite stable. You also, it is a fact that the interest on 91-day Treasury bill was hovering somewhere around 16.7 or so. At least we've not gotten it to a single decade, but it's trending downwards. So here you are. You've taken over a country.
12 or something, or is it 13?
Yeah,
numbers.
I'm not mentioning enough numbers but I'm giving you practical examples. If your interest regime, I was shocked when in Germany I visited one bank with my wife. She wanted to take some facility, and they mentioned interest rate of about 5%. I didn't know in the world they had interest rates at that level.
Somebody didn't know.
Because in my world, the least I hear is 27, and sometimes people are quick to thank God because this is even less than 30. You see, this is the culture.
In Japan, it's minus 1.5.
You see, so here you are, you wish to really produce. But if some of this, it's like wanting to build a very nice house. But unfortunately for you, your site was previously a lagoon. It's now that it's dried up as a result of global warming. So it means, I'm saying this because someone sold some land to me sometime, apparently 50 years ago it was a lagoon. So by the way, so I'm just telling you the intent of this government, that we really are still committed. The reason why power, electricity, and you see, we've done a lot of restructuring at the energy sector. It might not be perfect though, to increase efficiency, invite capital investment, all to make sure that we don't only say that, oh, but we're giving you power. It must be affordable.
Yes.
And you see, my brother,
you can't respond to everything.
No, quickly.
Yeah.
He's responding to me.
No. You see,
you can't respond to everything.
I've said that we have to get closer.
He doesn't have anybody, a new NDC person here to attack.
So
he's attacking all of us.
And you see, my brother started by saying that, and I have a very fine, it might not be perfect though, but I tried to explain how sometimes it's true. The restructuring of the VAT we've done is to help increase revenue. And he's saying when you look at the chain, it can affect the final cost. But this is a simple analogy. You do a business, let's say you're a distributor. Your cost of production is 100 Ghana cedis. Let's say 100. And what you make at the end of the month is, let's say, 1,000. Now, you make 1,000, but what actually goes into your pocket is 800 because you have very bad roads. Let's say, like you said, you're in Boku, and you spend 200 to work on your car parts. Now, if a government increases revenue through the restructuring we've done, and can fix that your road, you make 1,000. The extra tax which came from this our restructuring is 50 Ghana. Instead of 1,000, you get 950 Ghana in your pocket. But you wouldn't have gone to spend the 200 Ghana cedis on the parts you change on your vehicle. I don't know what. I mean, this might not be perfect.
With all things remaining constant.
Yes. I'm just trying to. So the point is that sometimes you find a government, like Sidney said, who is trying to raise revenues to fix some of the fundamentals which you try doing it yourself. There are people now who pull resources to fix their roads in certain areas. People are pulling resources to get solar. So they end up being the government on their own, fixing water, fixing power, because the government is struggling. So the intent is what we have to look at. And we have to also look at the conduct of the government in expenditure. They must not be reckless. Look, many people were not ready to let government get a penny in extra taxes because of the history we had.
But are you sure government is expending revenue properly now?
You see, I will not give many examples, but I'll give just one. In not too distant past, where a government took a loan, not concessional rate, commercial loan, got the money, where we are the borrower going to pay as a state, gave it to a private company in the name of trying to empower them to do business so that they should pay back. It was zero interest. We were going to take it up just because we wanted support. And guess what? They didn't do the job, they didn't pay back. If you take monies of the state and behave in such a manner.
Which example? Which instance?
Oh, the facility that was for granted to one of Agambri's, I think either the Zanktoba cottage, this basket and birds projects.
With the JIDA thing.
Yes. They got facility from government, got it by government, paid by government in commercial, but given at zero interest to empower them to the job. They did not do their job. Paying the money was a problem. And when they did the audit, they were asked to pay back. And the government, had it not been for them, was not even ready to go for the money. All I'm saying is that as leaders or politicians, there are many Ghanaians who are...
But people have all said that you are dissipating funds or revenue having a very big government, 110 ministers, for example.
Honestly,
a lot of
new regions,
the creation of new regions.
New districts.
Are these really the judicious use of the resources or the revenue?
That's why democracy sometimes is not easy.
More regions,
in
more
doing,
districts.
I'm coming. Yes, in doing, because but it's the best compared to the others. In doing arguments, me, I'm a debate. I've always been a debate. Any good issue you give me, no matter how good, I can pick some extremes, and I can make very good case in terms of arguing my way out. I mean, let's be honest. If and the president explained that I created some ministries. People always refer to transport. I created a different one for aviation, one for railway, one for roads, because I know the needs there are so big, and we don't have forever to.
The president will certainly justify it. But whether that's
really the way and I'm not saying this to say I'm not saying this to say that his explanation should be taken home, consumed, and all that. My point is that he had a reason. Time would tell, depending on the growth in the sector, the things we see, and all that. And we always do a cost-benefit analysis. If you have a new railway ministry, which within a short time can put things in order, and there will be impact on the economy, and you have to invest 100 million Ghana cedis in the new structure, the new ministry.
By analogy, we should create a lot more ministries.
No. So let's not discuss it. Now you have a lot of ambitious plans. So I'll start with you too.
Let me
just a lot of ambitious plans.
A second. Let me say that this government, since we came,
but you can't do it within 4 years.
I know. Before we came, trade was in a deficit. 2017, we did a surplus. All it means is that the quantum that we
very well.
Yes.
So talking about your programs for which you need the finances, very ambitious, the free SHS. So we're now moving to the next one. Now we have an issue with space. First years will be going to school. About 180,000 or 90,000 or so extra GSS people will be going to school. We have an issue of space. When this guy is going to the second year, when we saw the pictures, very bad pictures about where they were sleeping, the classrooms were congested, amongst other things. Now you need money to fund that. Of course, I'm not even going into the argument that we're not prepared for it and it just happened. So we couldn't contain the numbers. Now there is an educationist, Professor Jusvus Anawa Mensah, who is saying that because we don't have the infrastructure, but we are embarking on this ambitious path, we should introduce what he calls the multi-track system. Well, let's say students will go to school for like 3 months, now come back, sit at home, then another batch goes to school for another 3 months. So they have the same contact hours.
Is he speaking for government?
No, it's a suggestion. It's a suggestion which is gaining traction. Indeed, Professor Stephen Adar has supported it, and he said it was innovative. And he wasn't speaking in isolation. He said countries like China and the South American ones have also tried it. So it's important, or it will be useful for government to study it. So we see if
these
we can import that into
SHS students.
So we employ two streams.
So the girls will come.
Teachers, for
example. The girls will come home and sit down for 3 months and get pregnant all over the place.
Well, I don't know. So is it a good suggestion? Is it something you want to look at?
I was fortunate. I did well at the exams. So I was in secondary school. But there were people of my age who fell out and couldn't go.
They fell out because of what?
Either for
and now we are wrapping up.
Yes, either for bad performance,
bad grades,
or for inability to pay. Yes, and the records show that.
No, the free SHS is important. So when you're beginning from the school far, it's important.
No, I'm not going far. The point I'm making is that it's a choice you make as a government or as leadership. This government, either you decide to try to accommodate as many of your people who are qualified, despite the challenges and innovations you have to come up with.
When there's no space.
That's why I mentioned the challenge of it, because there's going to be, as we fund free SHS, we've also been adding infrastructure. I've brought documents before to show facilities will go for both external and within to try to improve on infrastructure. You have a choice. Either you take up the challenge of putting in place infrastructure that can take up your people and funds that can fund their education, or the other choice of being comfortable with what can be managed and hoping that the rest who are falling out don't come to hurt us. Any person who falls out, you meet on the way. Either in the night when you are asleep as an armed robber, or later as a crook who is coming for your things. My brother, this is a country with huge challenges, and we need very innovative leadership to deal with them. That's what I have to say.
Very well.
So we are committed to finding solutions.
Talking about innovation, is a multi-track system an innovation you want to look at?
Excellent. On the table, it will not be excluded. That's what I'll say. Every particular option which can ensure that within 3 years or within the allowed limit, our children get the best of education and get that necessary value, this government will be committed to doing that. We will not consider the cheap option of going back to the old system where thousands fall out, and we hope that they don't come for us.
Very well. Nana, Dr. Nimo Thompson has even suggested that we should scrap the boarding school system so we can use the boarding facilities for extra classrooms, for example. Is that also a good one?
All I know is that free SHS is a necessary evil.
Even in the form we have it now.
What I'm saying is free SHS is something that should be implemented. We are happy that the process has begun. But like with everything else, you know, I always quote Professor Kwame Gyekye in his book, Tradition and Modernity. And he defined culture as an enactment. When you say an enactment, it's something you have thought through and created. An enactment of a people having the ability to deal with problems and challenges as they arise in a timely manner. That one I have put in. So we cannot say that we are a people confronted with a challenge and we cannot find a solution to that challenge. So with all the different ideas that are coming, I am happy. Leaders must bring on and listen. You see, we have this culture thing that if somebody says something that you think is at variance with your thoughts, my brother will say something and then people jump on his throat because he has the audacity to think differently. Let's bring about divergent views and other people, sit them at the table, and let's crack the whip and let's sit there and burn the midnight oil, and we'll come with a solution. Because as a people, if we can't solve our problems, then we should cease to exist. Here we are confronted with what Martin will call the fierce agency of now. And in the fierce agency of now, there must be a solution. So leaders, as we have started a process, many things have come out of that process. We must straighten it and put in the right modalities and move forward with it. So that is what I love, because you see, when Ghanaians are giving solutions for Ghanaians, that is the only way we can move forward. Not external thoughts. Internal. We have our own brilliant people who have done their research, who have done the work, who have different views, put it together.
Very well.
And take leadership and move it forward. But we need no nation can develop when the basic educational level of the people is at JHS2.
Very well. So
it's not possible.
So Franklin, in closing, what
you won't close me.
What is your solution to the infrastructure problem? If Professor Anawaman says suggestion won't fly, and if Dr. Nimo Thompson's will fly as well,
let it not be said.
If you tell him they should do a voucher system.
Exactly.
That's it.
Let it not be said that anybody fundamentally opposes people being educated. Indeed, Imani's position has never been that. And one of the things we were saying earlier was that before you jump, we look before you leap. I understand your point about taking the bull by the horn, actually when you face challenges. But now we have the issue. So we've moved away from whether we needed it or not. Yeah. We now have the issue. How to deal with it. I do not necessarily buy the idea of a multi-track system. I mean, that encourages a bit of some deviancy along the way, you know. I sort of can live with the fact that maybe we should have community schools. That we can do. But it's also important that at the end of the day, as the basket becomes too big, one of the best things you want to do is to say that, look, if I can afford at this age to support people who my wards are not even at SHS, but I do that for other people. And my vice president, when he's visiting his wards in Cape Coast at the time, the conflicts and what's it called, colored beef and the rest were more than the 3 times, 4 times the fees. These people should be excluded. There's a reason why LEAP is not. We are not enjoying LEAP. We don't go around shopping around for poverty.
Very well. So, this has been today's edition of The Big Issue. It came to you live from our studios here at number 11 Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka, Accra, and on City TV. We're also live on, he's outsourced, he spoke about the voucher system. We're also live on Facebook and around the globe at citynewsroom.com. My guests this morning have been Dr. Okuboy, MP for Lejo Kuku, Nana Ofori Owusu, Director of Operations PPP and a financial analyst, Franklin Kujo, President, Imani Africa, Samson Asaki Awingobit. Samson Asaki
Awingobit.
Awingobit. The Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, and Sydney Kesley Hayford, Financial Consultant and member of Occupy Ghana. My name is Selom Adunu. Thank you so much for doing the listening. We'll see you again, same time next week.